Well, we don't have our intro today, so give me a second. It's a special day. We got a special guest, as you can see here, but hold on, show's not starting yet. If you're new here, you should be used to our wonky segues or just our show starts in general. So because I don't want to rob any of our long-term fans of our iconic The Clone Wars inspired intros, here we go for episode 292. On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt will be joined by Konnor from the Beyond the Dune Sea show, while Nick scours the galaxy for some spice. Matt will dive into Konnor's Star Wars life before they both discuss the most anticipated new Star Wars hitting fans' hands and minds in 2024. They'll also riff on the major Mando and Ahsoka news from today. Of course, the show will end with the Question of the Week segment and the latest round of Top High Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey, we're here. Welcome, Konnor, to the show. Wow. How do you like that? A live read.
Yeah, that was like being at your favorite artist, like live. You know, you've been there for a lot. Like you were looking forward to a concert. You know, I'm glad you didn't pre-record it.
Thank you.
That was cool. I got to be here in real time.
Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you. Well, hey, it's great to have you here, man. I mean, we were talking before we went online. It's been years since you and I have kind of known each other through digital platforms, mostly Instagram and this dumb little show we're on today. But, you know, we've never really sat down and chat. We kind of stopped doing the toy photography interviews before we got to you and all that fun stuff. But now you're here, and it's even more special because if you fandos out there aren't aware, I mean, I've been hyping the show since October, which surprises even myself because, you know, I'm a big fan of this guy, but we all know I have problems. Okay, I am a self-described Star Wars narcissist, and it's really been hard for me to pay attention to any other Star Wars fan content produced on the internet until Konnor and his boy Seth fired up at Beyond the Dune Sea, which it's on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and I'll tell you what, man.
Well, I mean,
you guys, you have a fan of me. You had a fan of me from day one, but to this day, you are the only Star Wars fan creators that I can tolerate and not completely feel like a loser when I look at my accomplishments compared to what you two have already kind of garnered here just since October. So kudos to you both.
I mean, we appreciate that so much because you guys were a big push for us to do what we do. Because I mean, we through the toy photography and as press pause photography, like I have it pulled up. I have this photo, and you probably don't remember this photo. I don't know if anybody at home can see this. This was my first ever photo that I posted on Instagram, and I copied a bunch of hashtags just from somebody random. Happened to have your hashtag. Woo-woo. You guys shared it. And that was like my push to be like, oh my gosh, this is people care. People care about these dumb things that I'm doing. And
hey, we make dreams come true on the Star Wars Time Show. It was
a massive motivator. And then over time, a couple years later, getting to know Seth, and we wanted to start this show. I was he had been turned on to you guys too because you shared some of his work. Because he also does a little bit of the toy photography.
I don't think at the Laird Geek produces anymore, does he? Or
he does on occasion. Right. He's not as active as I was, but he's more sparse with his work. But yeah, I mean, we were really inspired by what you and Nick do, and we were like, hey, let's try to do something. We'll try to do our own spin. And we were really conscious of trying to do something different, and hopefully people would like it because you guys have a very like established sort of brand and all that, and we love it. You know, and we lament on the days that a lot of days we sometimes record on. Well, on occasion, I work a lot on Tuesdays, and I don't get to watch the show anymore because of what we do. But I always catch up on it while I'm at my actual job.
As long as you're giving us a view here or there, we'll let you slide that you no longer make the lives every Tuesday. But
every time, don't you worry.
Hey, we appreciate that. We have a very small, some call it minuscule, but dedicated fan base, and I appreciate you all. By the way, Discord, if you want to hit us up, we got an open link in our Instagram bio link at starwarstime.show. If you're just listening now and you're on the podcast version, don't forget, we do live streams every Tuesday, 5 p. East, youtube.com/StarWarsTimeShow. I'm usually joined by young Nick, but like the announcer said, he's out there trying to score some crack for Chief Matlu for the next episode of Scoundrels of the New Republic, which we hope to record with Sir Dork and 1/6 Shooter before January's out, if you're into that type of shit. Nick's got us signing up on, I don't know how much you get into D&D or if at all, Konnor, but apparently there's this Roll20 site now that we might start using, and you might be able to see our little characters moving on the screen as we go through young Nick's stories that he plans for us. So stay tuned for that content coming down the road. I can't tell you when or what it'll be about, but who cares? It's free, so quit your complaining, right, everybody? All right. Well, hey, welcome out there. We got a few new people, it looks like, in the live stream audience. Konnor bringing some friends over there. We got Star Wars Sith. I see his content all the time. What's up? We got the Mortis FM team. I know you guys have teamed up with them as well. People stay away from us. We're kind of like a cancer. So I appreciate you signing on to be guest host today, which is going to be fun because I know you can talk Star Wars. I'm not going to be left here with someone that it's like pulling teeth to work with. So that's good. I want to know a little bit about Beyond the Dune Sea myself, but we got some big official confirmed Lucasfilm news to kind of dive into today as well. So those of you that are in for the long haul, we're going to keep talking with Konnor here. We're going to get into some questions that the fans asked us this week. We'll tackle the news, Mando and Grogu. What does it mean for Mando season 4? Is it going to be season 4 or is it going to be something extra? And then obviously we have a special topic planned where Konnor and I are going to take you on a tour of our most anticipated Star Wars of 2024. And no, it's not just shows and moving pictures. My man here, like me, he still likes to collect dolls. He's into that type of stuff, unlike Nick. So we're going to talk some of the toys we're looking forward to, some of the video games. It's going to be a good conversation with another loyal and mostly correct Star Wars fan. I say mostly because of
mostly.
There it is.
All correct.
There it is.
Actually,
there it is.
Thank you.
Well,
just for you, I thought it.
Hey, I don't know if you tuned in last week, but even young Nick was really starting to flamethrow the prequels out of nowhere. It's like I
was watching it while I was editing, and I was like, guys.
Yeah, I might have rubbed off a little too much on him. He seems to get angrier and angrier the more years or each year we do this show, and I just think it's osmosis, right? Through the Ethernet, he's slowly turning into a short, little, chubby curmudgeon, just like myself. And there's a part of me that's happy about that, but I'm also sad because he used to be pretty fucking positive. I think we've beat it out of him. All right. Hey, B-Mad, thank you, brother. We always appreciate those super chats. You are our guy. He's saying, sorry, Konnor, but SWTS is the best. That's all right.
Hey, they've earned it. They've earned the number one spot.
Well, hey,
take no offense.
We didn't earn shit. You guys will probably double our channel's subscribers in another 3 months. And that's just a testament to the quality
numbers
content.
Are not everything.
I understand. Listen, I'm not turning this into a pity party, but this is how I am. Like, it just, play along. I get it. I've come to terms with my niche in Star Wars life. It's basically I'm a nobody, but that's fine. So, like I said, let's get into Konnor. I know you did the tour with Sith, and so I'm not going to try to rehash a lot of that type of stuff. Maybe get an interesting question in there or two. But I guess just general question, man. What do you do in life outside of make kick-ass Star Wars verticals and a weekly show? So what kind of set you up for that high level of video production quality we see?
Well, I've been in video in one way or another for like 10 years. And it's all started in the dumbest way. I was in high school. It was toward the end of high school. And a friend of mine and a few friends of mine and I, we just decided it's weird. My relationship with technology was sort of delayed. Like I didn't have internet for a very long time, even though I'm of that generation. I didn't have a lot of that stuff. So a friend of mine showed me that you could just upload videos to YouTube, and it blew my mind. And so I was like, okay, let's do that then. And we made the dumbest things you could possibly imagine. I mean, the cringiest of cringe. And one of those friends and I were like, we're going to make this we're going to do this. And he went off to film school. I was like, I wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do. So I went to school for engineering. I minored in film. But all that time, that's all I did. I just, any spare moment I was filming. I had right the summer before my freshman year of college, I put out a casting call and I was like, hey, anybody who's interested in starting a film crew, I want to do it. Let's do it. And so I got a list of names, and to this day, I'm still friends with many of those people. And we every weekend and most weekends we were out filming, and we made tons of stuff, and they were really bad for a long time, but then it hit a point where they started to be kind of good. And our whole idea, the philosophy was we wanted to set up an opportunity just for anybody to be able to come make stuff, because there's a lot of gatekeeping at the school I went to about video production, where like you had to know somebody, you had to be a senior in order to hold a camera. We're like, forget that. If you want to come try it. And we were fortunate enough as a group, we were able to amass some equipment, and that's what we did. And then we made some commercials, made some other things, and kind of got it did reach a point where nothing was happening though. And I felt like I'd kind of lost my place in everything. And I felt like I'd wasted all my time.
I feel that every day, like every single day of my life.
But then I found like the toy photography stuff, because I was just always itching. I needed to do something creatively. It was right. Like people who are creative, I'm sure you know the same thing. It's like you have to do it. It's an impulse. It'll eat away at you.
I call it a sickness.
And so I found.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It is. I found toy photography, and I was like, okay, and that really helped me hone my skills, because people used to make fun of me. I still to this day use After Effects for photo editing, but because I do that, doing the show, it has sharpened my skills with visual effects in ways that I would have otherwise not been able to do. So then Seth, when I met him through a toy shop. I know the local toy shop owner here in town. We're good friends. He's my Hot Toys dealer.
I remember. I still need to ship that guy boatloads of my Black Series just to get him the hell out of my house. I remember that. Yeah,
I know. I keep telling you, but I met Seth through him. And
okay,
it was fun.
I figured you guys. I mean, you have such a great chemistry. I figured you guys were like friends from childhood.
I know, and that's what's crazy is as we learn. We've known each other maybe for about 3 years now, and the more we learn about each other, we have the same story. It's so odd. Like the way that our conversation even met is I made a fan series, a DC Comics fan series several years ago. And I was talking to this toy store owner about it. His name's Mike. And Seth had overheard me, and he's like, hey, I did that same thing. I made a Batman thing. And he was showing me his, and I'm like, I filmed in that same spot. And he was like, really? And we're showing each other. I'm like, this is so weird. It's like the same thing. And we started talking to each other, and he's like, I am just you, but 10 years older than you. And I'm like, that's wild. And so even still now doing the show and getting more stories out of each other.
It's making sense like, now.
I have that story. Like just when we did our Star Wars origin stories, that episode right before Christmas. And he was like, my 9th birthday, that was the birthday where like I really became a Star Wars fan. That's my story. When I was my 9th birthday, I became a Star Wars fan.
What was it, Konnor? What was the one thing in particular? Was it family, friends, or you just stumbled upon the Grail?
So I was not a fan. I had been introduced to Star Wars when I was a kid by my dad a couple times.
So this is why you think the prequels are the best.
No, I knew you were going to say this. I was introduced to the prequels. I remember being introduced to The Phantom Menace by my dad.
No, my point that you weren't even into Star Wars until you're almost 9. So, you didn't get the bug early from the OT, right?
I became a fan with A New Hope. I was, what finally did it was my great-grandfather was in the hospital. He was in the ICU, and my mother and I went to stay the entire weekend, and they had a little VHS cart in the back corner. And at the top of that stack was A New Hope. And I was like, it's the only one in here I'm even remotely interested in. So I put that in, and that was kind of the whole story. I remember after that weekend, we came home. I called my mama, who had a membership at a local video store. She went there, and we rented all of the rest of them. And it was that was 2004. And that was right before Revenge of the Sith came out. So all of them but Revenge of the Sith were at that video store. I took them all home. Empire Strikes Back. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I watched Return of the Jedi. I was like, this is also the coolest thing I've ever seen. I remember not being so hot on Attack of the Clones, but
which
I was really hyped for Revenge of the Sith.
Now I think maybe one of the most classic Star Wars movies of all time. Like, if
I know, I heard that last week. I was like,
we just
I'd scroll on me too.
Just watched it 2 weeks ago. Like I said last week, there's just something about it. I mean, all the wonkiness, all the bad acting, goofy scenes, now bad looking CG. It adds a new level of charm to that film that it's undeniable. I get it. I understand why people think it's one of the worst, but it's like a magical train of fuckery these days. I don't know. It's a beautiful thing.
I do love it.
It's a beautiful thing to watch, because sometimes you're just laughing at it. Other times you're like, okay, this was actually pretty good. And other times you're going, oh, come on, George, like, what the fuck were you thinking here? But it's a gem to me. It is a gem. Still think TPM #1, and I might have to put Clones now above Sith. But we're not going to get in that little pissing match.
Man, an argument for another day, huh?
Well, hey, that's not a bad origin. So were the VHS's special edition, or did you get the real stuff?
I want to say they were the originals, because I don't remember that Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope.
And you ended with Yub Nub instead of Victory Celebration, right?
No, I think that when I rented them, because I only watched A New Hope on the VHS, I think that I probably watched...
You probably had the DVDs by then.
ESB, yeah. Well, because I remember these covers. Like, I had these covers for the other two. Like, I remember vividly.
But those do have the original versions on them. Those are like some of the only discs out there that you can get that still have the original cuts.
Well, not those. It's the gold covers, which might have been the gold covers. I don't know. But I want to say it probably was the special editions of the other two, but I'm pretty sure that A New Hope was the original. Yeah,
I'm a dickhead. I just this holiday season, I bought, for some reason, because I also subbed to Disney Plus, I bought the Skywalker Saga digitally for some reason, because I didn't want to
digitally.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to sign into Disney Plus and all. I just wanted them right in my Apple TV or Movies Anywhere library. So yeah, I'm that type of dickhead. I've probably bought the core 3 movies. I probably have 5 sets of that. The prequels, I have 3, because I was 19 when TPM came out. I remember buying Phantom Menace on VHS, actually. And I remember when PS2 came out, I got my DVD player, and then waiting for the DVDs coming out, and that was life changing to me, because we are, you're closer to Nick's age, right? Are you in your 30s yet, or are you?
Not quite.
Okay, you're even younger than young Nick, so you're young Konnor, and it sounds like Seth is closer to me, but maybe mid 30s, or is he closer to Nick?
About mid 30s, right. Yeah.
But he's an intelligent guy. I heard his favorite film is Return of the Jedi, so I know he's got his head screwed on straight. That's for sure.
Well, his second is ROTS though. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, maybe he was just having a bad day that day. You never know.
It might have been.
You never know. All right, so the OT sucked you in, but then was it the prequels, because that would have been the first one you got to go see at a theater then, Sith, right?
Yes, it was. So it was the whole thing, like, because it was the marketing of everything. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, the Revenge of the Sith marketing was just, I mean, the toys, the games, all of it. I became a fan right at that time. And then I went to go see it actually at a drive-in with my sister. And that was like kind of the last nail in the fandom coffin there, if you will.
So you would have been what, like 9, 10s when all this is going on?
Yep, I would have been. I would have been 9.
Holy shit, man! I am such an old. I am everything that people on the internet call me. I'm the old guy yelling at clouds.
Hey, but you got to experience the other ones in theaters. Like I'm envious.
Well, I was going to kind of talk about that with you, and it's part of the reason I think why my generation is always going to be questionable on the prequels. It's everything different. Brains were differently formed. I was in a different period of life as a college kid and then working. I mean, I was thinking about last night. My prequel journey started in high school and ended at my first career type of job. Like it was essentially, I remember following the production of TPM when I was a sophomore, junior, senior. TPM came out my freshman year of college. I remember, my dorm at Kent State trying to find the trailer because back then, there was no YouTube, none of that shit. I mean, you had to go to the movie to watch those trailers or get lucky and someone had it on Kazaa or a peer-to-peer. So that came out, saw TPM 10 times, loved it, loved the sound, Maul, Duel of the Fates. AOTC rolls around, now I'm in college. I think I was like a junior. Got to see that before anyone else. We knew a dude that owned a theater, so we got to see it literally in the theater, wide open, just us. My buddy and I,
that's cool.
We're looking at each other. We're like, yeah, this is good, isn't it? This is really good. And at the end, yeah, Yoda's fighting. And we're that's the first time I started to be like, I think I like this, but it's not necessarily going the route I expected. But hey, it's the middle movie. It's okay. Look at all those Jedis in the arena there. Look at all the lightsabers, Jango, Boba. Okay. And then Sith comes around, and maybe this is my problem. At this point, I'm almost 25. I'm working my pro career at Kroger. I'd been moved to Fort Worth, moved up to Detroit. The movie comes out. I take it in, and Konnor, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is going to be the one. I'm finally going to see how Anakin falls. The circle's going to be complete. My life will be finished. I can die tomorrow. I mean, I used to be that type of fan. Hey, God, give me a couple more years till Revenge of the Sith comes out. As soon as I see that, I'll be all right. Comes out.
Yep.
And, I go through it the first time, like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good, right? That's good, right? It was all this, like, trying to convince myself, like, yeah, that's what I wanted. And after the second or third viewing, I'm just like, no. I have been let down. And is it a case that we all suffer from as super Star Wars fans, the old headcanon shit? Sure. There was some headcanon stuff in there. But every time I watch it, even now, when I'm much softer on Revenge of the Sith, I still just look at it and see a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of bad writing, a lot of bad directing, and a lot of bad acting. And I know that's not necessarily all the fault of Hayden and Ewan and Natalie. A lot of it's on George. It just, I don't know, man. It just, I had very high expectations and they were not met. So I will admit that's some of my saltiness is from headcanon nonsense, but I think some of my critiques have some merit to them as well.
No, I think that it's interesting. I've spoken to a lot of, since starting the show, people who were of that generation who grew up
old
with
fucks, us 40-plussers.
And what's fascinating is a lot of you guys have the same story. You had 15 years to come up with your own story.
Yeah,
and it was like there was no way. It didn't matter, and at least in my view, I don't think there was any story that was going to match it because Star Wars became this phenomenon unlike anything had ever come before it. At least on the big screen, right? I mean, you had comics that is the only thing that would rival it. And you guys had 15 years to try to come up with your own version of this because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you knew George was going to be making these movies. I mean, he was talking for...
That's what I mean, Konnor. I mean, I in high school subscribed to Star Wars Insider. That's really where you could only get news back then because the internet wasn't around when I was in high school. It just became commercially available in the mid-90s. Yeah. Dial up, my friends. Most of you don't even know what that is. So yeah, I would subscribe to Star Wars Insider. I forget, it was like quarterly or bi-monthly. You didn't even get it every month. And that's how I would follow along with the development. I mean, it was such a different time back in the late 90s, early 2000s when the prequels were being made. The internet was not what it is today. There's no YouTube. There's no video sharing. There was no fucking smartphones. Like there's no going to the set and getting set pics and none of that stuff. So yeah, it was George telling us, I'm doing it. I'm writing it. This is what it's going to be about. Jake Lloyd was cast. All right, cool. Well, this person. All right, everything's looking good. TPM comes out. I was still like, yeah, I can dig this. And then, Clones is where the doubt started to settle in, even though I still my fan head was fighting it back. Like, no, that was good, right? That was good. And then Sith, like I said, I think I kind of then at that point put all my eggs in the Sith basket. And while it opened strong, and yeah, it's got some great imagery. You got the Battle of the Heroes at the end. You got, Anakin getting the armor put on. All that stuff's fantastic. I just still am never going to come to terms with, in that movie, how his turn is portrayed. It just seems overly convenient. Snap of a finger. All right, fuck it. I'm going to give up everything I stood for, was crying about, so on and so forth, because the guy I just named as a Sith Lord spun a line of bull at an opera that I was even kind of curious about when he was telling me. So I don't know. I wanted to see a little more strife, maybe a little more anger pop out here and there, kind of like how we got to see him in the Clone Wars. See,
I always, as an outsider looking in, like, when I got to experience the movies, I feel like I got to experience to me, George's vision seems like it's consistent, but I can see how someone who grew up with the OT is able to form, I think correct me if I'm wrong, someone in your generation wanted to see like a Heisenberg situation where like he was always this guy. And then we just see him turn to Vader. Whereas I think George is trying to tell more of a fallen angel story, where it's everybody's beating him down until the point where he finally falls. And that's a different type of story than a Heisenberg type story. Because even in going back and reading some of George's interviews talking about Anakin prior to his writings of the prequels, and talking about how he was going to go out and personally hunt down the Jedi, and he's going back to talk to Padme. We didn't know her name was Padme at the time. I'm sure you've read a lot of those old interviews. There's a lot of that old artwork. I'm sure you've seen that too. It's super cool. And yeah, it seems like he's always this monster that just put on a face. But at least in the version that we got that was complete with the prequels, I think George always intended to tell more of a fallen angel story. At least that's my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I'll buy into the Heisenberg thing. Just a few more peeks under the surface, because we always knew this character was troubled. I mean, that was identified in TPM. Yoda didn't even want to touch him because he knew the potential that what could happen taking on someone with that much baggage. I do think in Clones, the whiny Anakin, that was probably the right way to go at that age, 18, 19, kind of feeling bent that his master, he's always feeling like he's being held back. I like that. That to me is, that would be angsty teen Anakin, whiny fucker, and, kind of feeling being held back and letting loose and losing control, wiping out a village of Tuskens. That makes sense to me. And then we skip 7 seasons of Clone Wars where we see him become even more skilled in battle, but also struggle even more with the darkness within him. At one point in time, he tries to kill Clovis because he's macking on Padme. I mean, and then you get the rots, and
great episode.
You get the rots, and I know everyone's like, well, by then he's all tempered and fine. I mean, he's 23. The war is just ending, but he seems perfectly put together. He's fine, no issues, no questioning of his dark side or some of the darker things he's done in the past. He's just fine.
Really, you don't think so? I think that duel with Count Dooku is all of that.
No, again, he was ready to do the right thing. City is like, no, fucking kill him. Do it. Like he's
See, I think that's one of those
where
it's a crucial scene where like he is struggling with that. He has his hate and his anger. That's what Dooku points out to him. And that's how he defeats him. But then he's like, I still don't think I should kill him though. And then Palpatine goads him into it. But then Mace later says the exact same thing that Palpatine tells him, which in Anakin's mind is just like, you guys are exactly the same. The Sith and the Jedi, what does it matter? I just need to take the path that I need to take to save my wife. And at this point, you guys are no different. And I think that through line is, at least to me, it's perfectly visible.
No, I agree. That through line's visible. What's hard for me is you go from Jesus of the Force, right? That's who he is, to in 1 second, I'm going to go murder, genocide, everything. It just doesn't resonate for me. Doesn't. Like, I mean, the scene after he goes and kills all his former friends, including kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough. It's rough. I mean,
and he looks happy doing it. Like, none of that makes sense to me. He
looks happy doing it. He's crying the whole time. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So we talked about this today.
Yeah, I know. Look, we'll move on. And you have made some very valid points, and it's not really going to change my mind. Just like I'm never going to change your mind. But that's
okay. We all got our favorite Star Wars, and that's all right.
All right. So, character then. Who's your number one?
It depends on the day. Sometimes it's Luke. Sometimes it's Darth Vader. Right now it's Luke. I think Luke is just the epitome of like the perfect hero. I think that he's the guy who will put his lightsaber away. Like that moment in Return of the Jedi is the Star Wars moment, in my opinion. I think it is not only the character defining moment of Luke, but like of Star Wars. It like shows what Jedi are, and what it means to be both a hero and a Jedi in the Star Wars universe. And so Luke is probably always going to be my number one.
Just not Jake Skywalker, right?
You know, I'm okay with some of the stuff they do with him in that movie.
Me too.
That's a whole other mixed bag.
Me too. Like, I'm not really down on TLJ. The only thing that bums me out is I 100% agree that Luke would check himself out of the galaxy just like his two masters before him did. I mean, he's doing what they did. What bothers me to this day, even on my last rewatch of it, is just the way he reacts. He acts like he's a dickhead, and Luke would not do that, but Luke would definitely take himself out of play.
My biggest issue with that movie, it is my least favorite. I'll be honest. It's my least favorite Star Wars movie. My biggest issue is that it feels like just an arrogant deconstruction of Star Wars. And it absolutely drives me up the wall.
So you loved Ryan's documentary then that came with the film?
No. Oh, gosh. Don't even get me started.
The whole documentary is essentially just fighting Mark Hamill.
Yes. Oh, gosh. That documentary.
Yeah, by the way, if no one's watched this, go check it out. It's literally called like...
If you want to make yourself mad for 2 hours, go watch. It's called The Director and the Jedi. Yeah. You the way you described how you were when you were watching Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, that was me with TLJ. I was like, okay, I like this, right? Yeah, okay. And then I got home and I literally went to bed. I just went to bed when I got home after that movie. And then I was like, I convinced myself over the next few months that I liked it. And then the movie came out. I bought it on Blu-ray, and I was really excited because I'm a big BTS nut. Of course. I love watching the behind the scenes
that's what did it for you. You watched the documentary.
Oh, dude, I watched that, and it made me so mad. I was like, no, how can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I mean, I know you're not one of these types of fans where you're going to sit there and attack Rian Johnson and his face and his family. I mean, I think Ryan's he's a tremendous director.
He's a talent.
Tremendous. He's a talent.
I mean, he directed the best episodes of Breaking Bad, which is my favorite TV show. Tremendous. Just not the best writer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I still think if we're just ranking the trilogy films, Tross is a way bigger disaster than The Last Jedi. But
yeah, I mean, what's frustrating is it's like they keep trading. I think I sent it to you. There's this video out there. It's called The Anti-Trilogy. It's a really good deconstruction of the sequel trilogy. It has a really like abrasive title, but it's a really good just deconstruction of the trilogy. And it's basically how TFA is kind of the anti-prequel movie, but then TLJ is the anti-TFA movie, but then Tross is the anti-TLJ movie, and they just keep like fighting each other. And I agree. Like as a movie, Tross is probably the worst one.
Oh, it's so shit.
Yeah, but I can't deny it's my guilty pleasure movie. It's got some fun moments.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the closest to Attack of the Clones in the sequel trilogy, where it's just
that's a good way to put it.
Shit
actually.
Dialogue, odd writing choices, some suspect acting here or there.
Like that opening, man, it fools you because I think the first like 10 minutes of that movie is really good.
Yeah, no, 100%. Where it loses it for me is once what everyone wanted, once all the heroes get together and just randomly fart around with bullshit nonsense and Ochi of Bestoon crap from the comic books. So, hey, Hero here in the chat. It's if you have the streaming version of TLJ, or like I said, the Blu-ray should have it.
I'm pretty sure it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, doesn't Disney Plus have a lot of the BTS that came out on the Blu-rays when that set was released?
If you go to special features, I think.
Yeah, Konnor's not wrong. I mean, listen, I'm not as upset at TLJ as most people, but Konnor's not wrong. That documentary is very interesting. And it completely illustrates why Mark Hamill was so gruff and ho-hum during the press tour for TLJ. I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers those days, but Mark Hamill was not in a good place with
he wasn't.
That movie.
And you could see why with that documentary. That's for sure.
He did not like any choice Ryan made about his character. And by the end, isn't it in that documentary, Konnor, where he dubs him Jake Skywalker? Or was that in an interview?
I'm not sure if that's in there. I just know there's a quote in the documentary where I think it's Johnson's producer he works with all the time. I forget his name. But he says, it's a shot of Mark Hamill looking all sad. And it's his voiceover. And he's like, he just really thought he was going to be the Luke Skywalker of this trilogy. And it's like, you can make that analogy in any other franchise, but he is Luke Skywalker. Right. What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I hope everyone knows that even if George wrote these, Luke wasn't going to be the main hero. None of them were going to be the main hero.
No. I don't mean that. I mean, but they were trying to take his character in all these ways, and they weren't listening to him. He was saying, I just don't think Luke would do this. And they were like, you're the actor, we're the writers.
No, 100%.
And it's like, well, but when you've played the character for 40 years, I think you have a little bit of authority on what the character would do.
I agree. And as we said when we started this, Luke 100%, just like Yoda did, would say, I fucked up so bad, everyone's better off without me. He would not have treated people that way, especially not Chew-ass Baca. Are you kidding me? His boy Chewbacca, and he's like throwing him out and treating him like garbage. Get out of here. All right. Yeah, I'm with.
But to end that on a high note, I will say his showdown with Kylo Ren is probably one of my favorite scenes in the sequels.
It is pretty awesome. I just wish it was his actual body and not this force projection stuff. But
you don't like that? I think that's cool.
I really, when I first saw it, Konnor, I shit you not, as most of us, because none of us were looking if he was leaving footprints. We all thought he was there, and I was expecting that. Even as he watched Rey and Chewie fly away, and he burns the tree, Yoda comes there. I was like, he's gonna fucking show up. He's gonna get that X-wing out of the pond. We're gonna see it, or he's at least gonna show up at the right time, and it tracks. And then you get the big huzzah. And I will admit, the first time the huzzah happens, you're like, oh, shit. He did completely play his nephew like a fiddle. But there's a part of me that would have liked to seen him go out like Obi-Wan and kind of actually be there and disappear on the field of battle versus many parsecs away on a rock.
I just think it takes your weapons. You do not need them. There are alternatives to fighting, like those mantras of his old masters to like the pinnacle,
Why do you think force projection Luke opted for the tunic he went with?
Have you ever read the Rise of Kylo Ren comics? You have, right?
I have, but I guess I deleted that one. So fill me in.
So he wears that exact same outfit in those comics. Okay. He has the same haircut. He has everything. Right. And there is a panel in that comic where Ben Solo is like, this is the legend, Luke Skywalker himself. And he's talking to the Knights of Ren. And so I think they were implying with that comic that Luke is trying to appear to Kylo like, hey, you know that guy that everybody thinks I am, the legend that I've been hiding from? I am that guy. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to reckon with that guy. And so he was showing up as like, this is prime Luke Skywalker. Like, I didn't go away and become this grizzled, like faded away old man that I kind of am now. Like, no, I'm still this guy.
That's master form. That was his master's tunic. Like, if we were saying that's essentially his dad's leather chap look, right? Like that's his final Jedi form. All right. Yep. I've got the hot toy. I mean, the funny thing is I have 3 The Last Jedi hot toys. I have the Kylo, the Jedi training Rey. No, I have 4. Holy shit, Konnor. I have the Jake Skywalker, like the titty milk drinker, and I've got Master Skywalker.
See, I want that one, the Master Skywalker. I've been tempted to get it.
It looks, I don't know. I didn't like Hamill's haircut for some reason. I didn't like.
Yeah, it is a little bowl cut.
Yeah, right? It just didn't seem correct. I will tell you, and we'll move on from TLJ. It's been fun here. We're talking. If you just tuned in, we're talking with Konnor Tierney from @Beyond the Dune Sea and @PressPause Photography over on Instagram, @Beyond the Dune Sea on YouTube. They do a weekly show. They also team up with some other channels like Star Wars Sith and Mortis FM to do. What do you guys do? You do this Tales from the Archives. That's right. You guys are reading through like Plagueis. That's right. So yeah, great to have him here. We're just talking Star Wars, just kind of randomly going through the trilogy, finding out a few things about Konnor. To recap here, he hates the original trilogy. He thinks the prequel trilogy is the only thing that should exist, and he wants Rian Johnson to be executed for The Last Jedi. I'm just kidding. That's good. Listen, if you're coming from Beyond the Dune Sea and you've never seen the SWTS, it's we're kind of slapdicky, all right, a little goofy, pretty unserious. Sometimes I lose my cool here or there. I hate saying this because it's an abomination, but I always wanted to be kind of like the Stern Show of Star Wars. So just speak my mind, talk about whatever's on my head, in my heart, and not really try to hide anything from people to listen. So welcome here.
And that's what we love about you guys.
Hey, well, we love you too. I really do. I mean, I know we kind of jumped around the Beyond the Dune Sea stuff, but I hate other Star Wars fan creators, especially ones that are more popular than me, but I love this guy and his buddy Seth and @Beyond the Dune Sea. They make some of the most, I don't want to say innovative, but your verticals, dude, they suck you in immediately. Like you've mastered the vertical slice, whatever you want to call it, on socials. And in particular, the show intros you two do are amazing, and you all should have.
Yeah, that's kind of become a mainstay.
Yeah, you all should have the following you're building now because of those intros. Because listen, I mean, how much? Well, actually, I got a question for you, so I'm not going to ask. But your videography past shines. You can tell you're thoughtful about this stuff. You script it out. You have a plan. I'm assuming you even write up scripts for the week. I mean, everything is well done, expertly acted. Lots of some tongue in cheek, but always Star Wars correct. So please keep those up. That's worth tuning into Beyond the Dune Sea in and of itself.
Well, I appreciate that.
But yeah, just great content. So I appreciate you all, and you've got me into being a little bit better in the Star Wars fan creator community. I think I started following Star Wars Sith and Diamond Figs. Maybe I'll even give this Mortis FM a look because they are here too. So
they're great. They're awesome. They're another podcast.
We all can play. along in the same sandbox. I'm trying to learn that as someone that has very severe mental illness when it comes to his Star Wars fandom.
To be completely honest with you, like that was something I was worried about when I started. I was like, man, I felt like other people, honestly, I felt like you guys would think that I was like competing. And I'm like, I don't want you guys to feel like that, because everybody can, like you just said, everybody can play. And it was Diamond Figs and Star Wars Sith that I first linked up with, where we were like, no, let's all just kind of support each other and just create this kind of community. And it's been so cool. Like just everybody just
sweet
supporting and sharing. And it's like, yeah,
hey, we'll come play too. You just got to pay me. All right.
We'll
sign me up. I'm probably I'll come in. I'll be the old guy of the group, because it sounds like all you guys are probably in your 20s and 30s. So I'll be the wise sage Yoda of the group.
There you go.
I'm coming there and start doing my backwards talk. Here we go. My father Django's up in here. Sir Dork, welcome to the party, buddy. I would usually go with Sir Dork on a guest host, but I was like, you know what? If Konnor's available, I got to get this guy over here.
Man, downgraded from Sir Dork to me.
No.
Sorry to the audience.
Like I said, this is good stuff. It's good to have one of the creators of Beyond the Dune Sea here. See how professional we are over on the Star Wars Time Show? We got phones popping off and everything. All right, but I do have some more questions about your production each week, because I love it. The one last week
hit me
with Alderaan. I mean, geez, you did the whole show as ghosts. Beautiful stuff. I don't know, man. It's just like your content just speaks to me. The shorts suck me in, and obviously it's worked, because I think what you all have captured, it's like the holy grail, where I think starting in season with Star Wars was very intelligent, because as someone that's been creating for a decade now, not just Star Wars, I was in video games, all that stuff before, but Star Wars in particular, for us content creators, shit hits way harder if something is in season. It doesn't even have to be a breakdown of the show. It could just be, for some reason, the internet, the algos that drive it. If Star Wars is in season, people like us tend to get a little more eyes and traffic. So that you started well there. Very true. You started right out of the gate, obviously, with great video production. I mean, you like I said, you can see your skills. You got a nice little studio there. Your verticals were great. So what happened is you guys started, and you got right into the algorithm you need to be in as a Star Wars fan content creator. So now, anytime you guys post, because you have loyal clickers, you're golden. Like I'm telling you right now, this time next year, you're probably going to be 5,000 plus on YouTube. You're easily going to be 10K on IG, and I haven't really looked at your Spotify, but you all have hit the secret sauce. Where I think we failed initially is we went hard into toy stuff. So the algorithms have kept us there. So anytime I just put out general content, it's not really getting a lot of play. I think our reels might get seen by like 47 people.
Well, unfortunately, that's not really your fault. It's that Instagram changes every 10 minutes. And it's like, it used to be, I mean, your feature content that you were doing before was like, it was really good. It was a great way of building a fan base, and it was a great way of generating. But now you post a photo on Instagram and it gets seen by like 10 people. Right. So it's just,
I don't know. I see you guys on TikTok. I see you on IG and YouTube, obviously, and some don't pop, some do, but your numbers are looking great. And I just think they're going to get better.
We appreciate that.
Whenever I can pay you to do the same for us, let me know. I have Venmo, Chase, Zelle, crypto. You want some crypto? I'll send you some Bitcoin.
So I think I've got to figure it out for us first. We're kind of, it looks like everything's planned, and some of it is, but some of it is kind of just flying by the seat of our pants a little bit.
All right. Let's got favorite character. Standout moment from the franchise. Animated, live action, doesn't matter. What's something you're just like, this is it?
Well, I mentioned the throwing away the lightsaber. That's kind of a big one for me. Man, you put me on the spot here. I've always loved the initial confrontation of Luke and Vader in ESB. That's a big one.
I listened to that clip, yes.
So That's one of mine. The last 10 minutes of Revenge of the Sith. I know I don't want to retread this, but legitimately, I do find that to be just moving. And
you're talking about the birth and the birth.
Yeah, of
the birth of the twins, Padme, and then the birth of
Padme
Vader
dying, the birth of Vader. Yeah. I think that is the music, everything is so incredibly done.
I know it. Your top scene ever is when he's getting raised up and he goes, "No!"
I don't mind that. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it doesn't bother me.
That no I can accept. The no they dubbed into Jedi
I don't like that one either. In Return of the Jedi.
Sacrilegious. That's some of the shit where it's like, hey George, just leave the shit alone. Will you? Right. Just leave it alone. The OT was fine. I know you're a tinkerer and you want to see what you could do for the prequels, but just shit, man. Some of those touches. Eek.
Yeah. Eek. I can, most of them that are in ESB and in Return of the Jedi, I don't mind. It's the ones in A New Hope that drive me nuts.
Well, he barely touched ESB.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Jedi's rough for me because that's my movie, and taking away Psy's song at the beginning and replacing it with that crappy Jedi Rocks.
Jedi Rocks.
Yeah.
You don't like Jedi Rocks?
It's terrible. That stupid CG guy, what's his name? Max Evies. What is his name? Evazon's the Death Stick dealer.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. You got Boba Fett in there flirting with people when he should be not doing that. And then, Victory Celebration instead of Ewok Celebration. That's terrible. I like Victory Celebration, though. I'll say that. Okay.
I like Yub Nub as well, but
here's keep all the fucking touring the galaxy and just don't replace the song. Victory Celebration is not the right tone song for what we're seeing on screen. As I said last week, you play Ewok Celebration, they are timing the drum beats to the Ewoks beating on the helmets and their own drums. It's a beautiful thing. It's natural. They won the war on Endor. It should be celebrated as that culture would celebrate it. Thank you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, my father Django's right. Jabba in New Hope is awful.
It is probably also my least favorite change.
Oh, and by the way, anyone listening to this, if you are new here, Nick and I a few weeks back dedicated a podcast to going over all the special edition edits and the ones that were terrible and the ones that were okay. So if you like that type of talk,
it's a great episode too.
We did do that. All right, so we got the moments. I think I know this answer, but I'm going to ask. Out of the films and animated series, is there any that just don't sit well with you at all? Or is that The Last Jedi?
I've come to accept The Last Jedi. There is one that does hurt me. It's Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah?
It's because it's because of one thing in the show.
Lay it on me.
I cannot stand that Grogu goes back to Mando. Otherwise, I think that episode of The Mandalorian that's in there is probably the best episode of The Mandalorian.
It's very, very good. Well done.
The episode of Luke is really good. And then just the Boba Fett stuff is fine. There's parts that kind of fall flat, but at its worst, it's just not very good. I don't think it's offensive, if that makes sense. Right. But undoing the emotional core of the finale of Mandalorian season 2 that the first 2 seasons were building up to, I think was a horrible mistake. And I think it completely derails Mandalorian season 3. I think that it's clear that the intention was that Mandalorian season 3 was supposed to be a solo adventure with Din and doing everything he was supposed to do. And it was a top-down decision from Disney. Baby Yoda makes money. Put him back in the show. And that's what it feels like. And gosh, that hurts me so much.
Yeah, I mean, I completely can buy into that. I mean, going through the Book of Boba Fett, I was like, hey, whatever. It's Star Wars. I get it. It was a fun episode. It's kind of weird that they jammed in a full Mando episode in the middle of Book of Boba Fett, but
right, yeah.
But whatever. I think you're probably correct. It was but it did screw things up because if you remember when the Mandalorian season 3 was about to start, everyone's asking John, so hey, what's the timeline like? How much time? He's like, I don't know, year, 2 years, couple years, 1 year, 2 year, who knows?
It was such a misstep.
It's been 2 years, and it's like, all right, but hey, we're through it. We got through season 3. We got news today to talk about. Who knows if we're gonna get season 4, but we'll get there. And All right. Would you say your Star Wars fandom, did it kind of shape your life? Did it lead into what you're doing now, or some of the decisions you made, some of the people you've decided to hang out with? How much has Star Wars influenced Konnor?
I would say nowadays for sure. Growing up, not so much. Not a whole lot of my friends really like Star Wars, I would say. I mean, they did, but it wasn't like Star Wars wasn't the thing, like it wasn't the thing that guided conversations or anything. And then I went to college and I'm married, and so my wife's not a big. I mean, she likes Star Wars, but really just because of me. She's liked it okay before, and I went to go see TFA. That the sequels, that hype sort of reignited my love for Star Wars. Because I mean, I think it reignited a lot of people's love for Star Wars. It was like, hey, this thing is back. It's time to get excited again. But nowadays, for sure, it's like, I mean, I wouldn't know Seth. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing toy photography. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Like, it's a lot of people. So I would say for sure, nowadays, the last 5 or so years, my Star Wars fandom has really shaped. It's interesting. It's like I feel like I finally found like where I belong as far as like these skills that I've cultivated over this time, like where that I thought were useless.
No,
I finally feel like have a place.
No, they're good. Hey, dude, in another year or two, you this might be all you're doing.
Yeah,
maybe we'll be able to retire from whatever you got to do to pay the bills. But hopefully, I mean, I wouldn't say that's ever been my dream for this. I don't have a problem being a professor. It's actually quite a great career. Lots of free time and some rewarding stuff here and there. But I would love a little bit more of a following, at least to feel like I'm not just making content for 100 people, but I'll keep doing it because nice. I like it deep down.
It's nice to feel appreciated.
Yeah, I guess that's it's like maybe I do just suck. I mean, there have been times where I'll sit here and be like, you know what? There are people like, hey, it's good. You're interesting. Your content's all right.
You got to quit it. That's it. You got to quit that. You are good. Your show is great.
I know. Hey, listen, you're talking to a narcissist, so I already know I'm great, and I think everyone should listen to me. I know that stuff, Konnor. What I'm not getting is the actual realization of it through clicks, views, following, numbers, stuff like that. So I know it's annoying to talk the way I'm talking.
You know how in that comic Luke says that sometimes the door is open for just a little bit for people, and you got to push it open.
Yeah.
And it takes longer for some people. Well, hey, you got to keep opening that door.
Right.
Listen to
okay, well, Luke. There's another, I guess 2024 is a new year. We'll see if this is the one, year 6 or whatever we're up to. Well, hell, Nick and I, we've been doing this even when we didn't have Star Wars time. We were just entertainment Buddhists. So it's been forever.
Like you keep saying like we like blew up all of a sudden. I've been in video production and doing stuff for like 10 years, and none of my projects have ever taken off until this one. So it's
fair enough. I guess I've been doing this now since 2010. That's a lot, and nothing has really taken off at all. My Entertainment Buddha did for a time before video game media went just pure streaming and influencers. Like I had a decent. I think we were doing like 80 to 100,000 uniques on a website, and we're getting sent out to E3 and all that fun stuff. But listen, I'm a Star Wars junkie. You were talking about your influence. I can't remember a life without Star Wars. It goes back that far. I mean, we're talking baby brain type of shit. 3 years old at Return of the Jedi in '83. So it 100% has shaped my life. From birth until now. I think one of the reasons I am into tech, my degrees are all in computer science, is Star Wars. I've always been interested in the future, in technology, and how things can make life easier. Yeah. So it really has been my entire life. I mean, but I'm unique in that if I didn't make it known, you probably would not know that I am such a dork. Does that make sense?
See, I guess that now that you frame it in that way. I'm
also a sports fan. I mean, I could talk sports with Pat McAfee. Like I you wouldn't even know I'm a hardcore geek. unless I tell you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, now that you frame it that way, like Star Wars has always been around in my life, and it has shaped my whole reason for getting into video production. That's for sure. I mean, the first visual effect I ever learned how to do was a lightsaber in a really crappy video I did for a school project.
Hell yeah.
And it shaped, I've talked about this on my show before. It shaped my faith in a lot of ways. I know that might sound odd, but I've talked about that.
I mean, honestly, if I can touch on that real quick, I know you're very spiritual. I'm a confirmed Catholic, but have not practiced that religion since I was 20. Once I was able to make my own choices, I decided that brand of organized religion wasn't for me, and really none of the organized stuff is. But as Konnor was saying, these days I would say I'm spiritual, but much more in terms of through the concept of a force. That's where I'm at. Sure. Like I think I'd be, if Native Americans had a name for their beliefs, that's closer to where I am. I'm more into kind of the force itself. All things are connected. What I do, what I put out there can come back to me, that type of stuff. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. Anything that religion tries to teach you, but without some of the organized religion stuff that I just can't sure. get down with. But I 100%, if someone asks me, what do you believe in? I say the universe or the force to this day, like that. And I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I do believe in this energy that is out there 100%. And that is the force to me.
Amen.
Look at this. Sir Dork saying Pedro Pascal shared the Mando news on his Insta story. Maybe we'll see some Din face in the movie. We're not there yet, Sir Dork, but I have a feeling that yes, you will. Because
I also
I think he's done with the TV side of Mando, but for a movie payday, that helmet's coming off. But we'll get there.
Yep, new contract negotiations.
Exactly. Yeah, what Jared is teasing is the big news of the day that we're getting a Mando. Literally, it's called the Mandalorian and Grogu. That's the working title as of right now, but that's an official film coming out. Konnor and I will talk about that here in a second, try to figure out, is it going to replace season 4, or is this a new thing to maybe give them more time to work on Ahsoka season 2, chart out a bit more of the Mando before we have the endgame crossover in 26 or 27, whenever the hell that is going to happen. Okay. Well, you know what, Konnor? I think it is time to start talking a little Star Wars news. I think we've kind of introed you
we've yammered enough
to the SWTS crowd, although most of them know you here because you've been a patron since day one, and we appreciate you there, boy. But yeah. So as Jared, don't apologize. You actually are giving us a segue here, even though I just said you gave us a segue, something you should never say when you're talking on the radio.
Talking about segues is the perfect segue.
That's right, buddy. But what Sir Dork is chatting about there in the live stream. By the way, if you want to join the live stream, if you're just listening to this little podcast on, say, Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Google, Pandora, SiriusXM, we're everywhere. We do a live stream weekly, typically Tuesday evening, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Join in, play around in the live stream comments with some of the fandos, some of our diehards. We would love to have you. But like I said, what our buddy Sir Dork was kind of teasing in the chat here about Pedro sharing some news on Insta today. Oh, by the way, while we're talking about Pedro, did anyone else see Kieran Culkin troll him last night at the Golden Globes? It was pretty good. Kieran plays a great character on Succession. One of a fantastic series on HBO that wrapped this year. He is the younger brother of Macaulay, all that stuff. But I guess last night, him and Pedro were up for either Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor in a Drama. I'm guessing Pedro was up for The Last of Us. Kieran was up for Succession. In his speech, he starts with, "Suck it, Pedro. This one's mine." And I was just like, that is fantastic. And of course, Pedro took it well. He was laughing. Then he started crying in the audience. So God bless that man. You know what else I didn't realize? Pedro was in The Equalizer 2. Is one of the.
Is he?
If you remember, Pedro kind of started out being a character actor as like a bad guy, at least here in the States. Yeah. I mean, he came in as Oberyn. Martell for Game of Thrones. Then he was kind of the bad guy in the second Kingsman movie. He plays a dubious guy in The Equalizer too. But it seems, Konnor, once he got The Mandalorian is when his fortunes obviously changed. But now he's being cast as the hero, right? It's kind of funny what a little Star Wars fame can do for you, and a little green puppet that looks like a 900-year-old Yoda. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's crazy. That doesn't work for everybody, too.
No, and
Pedro is
and he's an older dude. I mean, I'd imagine he's probably in his mid to late 40s. I don't know. I mean, I guess older dude. He's my age maybe. But yeah. So what Sir Dark was saying, like, hey, I wonder if we'll see his face. Well, the reason he's saying that is because today over on StarWars.com, the official StarWars.com. They kind of dropped some pretty important news about the Mandoverse, if you will, that era of Star Wars that at least I know Konnor knows when it's taking place in universe. Remember, the Mandoverse takes place at least 7 years after the Battle of Endor. Okay, have we figured that out at this point in time?
No kidding.
Just
Thank you.
to make sure, we are now, at this point in time, at the end of Ahsoka, at the end of Mando Season 3, we are now 9 years past Return of the Jedi, okay? So that's where we're at in the Mandoverse at this point in time.
You think we're up to 9 years?
Yeah.
At this point?
Favreau said, we were just kind of joking about it, but he finally doubled down that there was a 2-year passage of time between Book of Boba Fett and Mando Season 3.
Now, hold on. Now I'm getting... So I thought Mando Season 1 was 5.
7.
And then is that... Mando 1 is 5?
No,
or
Mando 1 was always 7 if you take it from day 1 announced, 7 years post Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So that's where the 9... Then you tack the 2 on,
Gotcha.
you get the 9 there, so...
I was just a couple years behind. See, I wasn't one of the people who was like, hey, this takes place right after A New Hope.
Well, it's funny. You'd be like, well, yeah, I guess technically it does. But as
Right.
we were laughing about in some of our chats, no, they really were like, no, this is before Empire Strikes Back. Ahsoka took place.
I know. I was getting the same comments.
That's why it was fun, because it was right when you were getting into creating content, and I was like, well, don't worry, pal. You're going to start to see what I've been talking about on the show. I mean, there are some Star Wars fans out there. You have to wonder if they watch it with their eyes closed, because
I anticipated the toxicity, but I did not anticipate just the lack of literacy, I suppose. This is the most diplomatic way I can put it.
It's wild too, man. and the thing is, it's a microcosm of society in general. I mean, things just seem to be going deeper into the pits of hell in terms of intelligence, how people treat each other, but you can see it in Star Wars. Like, yeah, this is it. These are the same type of people that believe in drinking bleach and injecting sun into your veins and staring at eclipses and stuff. So we are headed towards idiocracy 100%. Mike Judge predicted the future back in the day. This is where we are headed.
Right.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before literally Rocky is the president of the United States of America. Okay, what are they saying down here? Matt Plonka says we're still 7 years after. No, it's 9, I promise you. Just go look it up. But look it up from real people, not other idiots on the internet like myself. Okay, so back to this news here, Konnor. Big stuff. And I do want to kind of, let's poke some holes in it and spitball where we think this may be going. Oh, shit, my power just fluctuated. Luckily, I'm on battery backup, so we should still be okay. But... revealed today from Lucasfilm, being directed by Jon Favreau, produced by Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni, will be a feature film titled The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's going to start principal this year, which means, Konnor, we could potentially be seeing this as early as winter 25.
Yep.
There really wasn't many details outside of The Mandalorian and Grogu. We did get a quote from Jon Favreau, that is. He says, "I have loved telling stories set in the rich world that George Lucas created. The prospect of bringing The Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu to the big screen is extremely exciting." And then from Kathy, we get the usual executive speak here. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have ushered into Star Wars 2 new and beloved characters, and this new story is a perfect fit for the big screen. All right, so that's just.
What do you think about
that's
this?
part one of the big news.
Yes,
here's what I think, Konnor. I am leaning towards this being its own thing and not a replacement for Mandalorian season 4.
Okay.
I think. Well, I don't think. I'm hoping at least that they're even as John's talking here or Kathy, like these two new characters, you can tell they're putting the focus on just Din and Din Grogu. And so I think it could just be, hey, this is what they're doing as Rangers of the New Republic. Also, obviously stoking some of the other narrative fires that are out there, the Thrawn stuff, the Bo on Mandalore stuff, the New Republic stuff. I hope this is not a movie. The way they're phrasing it, I don't think it's a replacement for season 4. But from some of the rumors we've discussed on this show, I also would not be surprised if this is what it is, and that bums me out. I'm torn on this announcement. It's exciting to know that Star Wars movies are getting closer to becoming a real thing again. But I am also I'm gluttonous when it comes to Star Wars, and I want as much narrative as I can get, and I know I'm going to get way more narrative in 8 episodes versus a 2-hour long movie. So
yeah,
I would prefer this to be a standalone, and we still get season 4, but this could be it.
I'm also very torn on this announcement because this to me just screams corporate meddling in the story. Like this almost feels like a Book of Boba Fett situation to me. Like Disney just had a bad year, box office hits. We need a hit. Baby Yoda sells tickets. Let's get butts and seats. Hey, Favreau, you had season 4 written out. Make it a movie. Get some butts and seats, and let's sell out theaters. But the thing that, now don't get me wrong, even with that, I think that Favreau could still make a great movie because in the ideal world, you have your studio execs and you have your artists, and it creates a symbiotic relationship. They can be greedy and they can be artists, and they can be separate. But in this particular case, The Mandalorian is a serialized television show. I just don't know how much that translates to the big screen. I mean, it was designed to be a serial. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it could be great, but
well, you're right, because I mean, dude, it's going to go from having an overarching narrative, right, like the big one.
Yeah.
But we're going to lose all the little stuff in a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the adventure of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're going to get the big stuff is going to be delivered at the end. Din and Grogu are going to start at A and they're going to end up in Z. They'll have learned something. We'll have learned something. The galaxy will have been changed. But we're going to miss all the nuance, all the little stuff that fanboys like ourselves kind of live for. The little lore nuggets that are going to get slashed and end up on the cutting room floor, both for budget, editing, and time reasons. So
I know, and I hate being the Debbie Downer. I was talking with our group earlier. Star Wars Sith is giving me crap here in the chat because I'm usually the positive guy.
No, you're playing Nick's role perfectly these days because he's always down on most of the Star Wars news. Well, he's like, fuck it.
I just don't like when I see the meddling. The studio meddling is when it's so transparent like this, at least in my opinion, it's so transparent.
I guess I should have went out.
When it starts to bump.
I should have looked what Bestman Bulletin was saying because they usually have an in. But you're probably right. Because I mean, listen, I know you guys at least yet haven't really gotten into weeds talking about news and crap on your show or leaks or rumors. That's something we kind of do. And it seemed as 2023 was ending, it was every other week. Mandalorian season 4 was either a show or a movie, show or a movie. So all that smoke, dude, is definitely starting to make me feel like you're probably right. And that there is a fire. Bob Iger, has discussed the fire at Disney since he's returned. He has talked about he wants to cut from Lucasfilm and Marvel, even though I think Marvel is their bigger money issue than Star Wars. So sadly, your meddling speculation is probably spot on.
Now, that's all to say, like, I still think Favreau could take that and do a great job. Like, I have a saying I like to say a lot, which is limitation breeds creativity. And this is limitation that could absolutely breed creativity. And who knows, it could be the best thing for these two characters at the end of the day. It's just going in with the pretense of, hey, John, take these two characters that were designed for TV. That's not making us money anymore. Put them on the big screen so that we can have a better year. I don't know. I don't like that as much. But I will say having it on the big screen does afford us some other opportunities that would not otherwise be present on the TV screen. I
was going to say that kind of leads into the second bit of news that came out of Lucasfilm today, and that is, as you notice, I noticed a lot of people I don't think picked up on this. They just read the headline. They're like, "Oh fuck, Mandalorian Grogu movie, sweet." But if you actually kept reading, they drop a huge reveal in there, like news a lot of us have been looking for since October of last year. And we got it today right here. The Mandalorian Grogu will lead Lucasfilm's ongoing feature development slate, including films helmed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. She's everyone's favorite right now. I don't know if you picked up on that drama from last week when all she says, like, hey, it's about time women get to make Star Wars. And then, all the nut jobs went absolutely insane.
Okay, but there are the nut jobs, but there are also... On the other hand, does all the women who have also made Star Wars just not count?
Well, who's done it besides Deborah Chow?
Deborah Chow.
Well, I think
Bryce Dallas
I think
Howard,
she was talking movie. I think
she didn't. She said a woman makes Star Wars in a galaxy far, far away, and then all the headlines said film to try to run face for that line that she said in the CNN interview.
Well, I guess. Well, Deborah would have. Bryce was just pure directing someone else's writing and whatnot, but that's all Charmeen's doing too. I don't think
that's what I'm saying. It's just as a weird comment to me. I don't know.
Whatever, man. I like all that shit. People get nuts over the woke stuff like that. That stuff makes me vomit. All right, I am woke as fuck. All right, let me get that out of the way. Okay, I think it's okay if women are in lead roles, if women are heroes, if women are strong. I also think it's okay if people of color do the same thing. All right, white guys don't always have to be the Tommy Tough Guy hero. Okay.
Well, sure.
But that's what a lot of people start calling woke, though. Is like, hey, Disney went woke because Rey's a hero and it's not a man. And hey, there's a black stormtrooper. It's like, come on, people.
I think there are some of those people, but then there are other people who just get annoyed at pandering. I think there's a little bit.
Oh, of course. Well, I don't know if you tuned into when we broke down the South Park pandering episode, but.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did.
When
that was good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you make it to the point where Trey and Matt are going to parody you, then yeah, it's a real thing. So I do agree with the pandering. I just don't necessarily agree with.
You know what? Here's all I'll say is, you know what it reminds me of? You know those really bad Christian movies?
What's that?
They used to come out.
The what?
Like just really bad Christian movies. They used to come out back in the day.
Okay.
And everybody would make fun of them because they were just so awful because they pandered to such a specific group. And hey, I got my necklace on. I'm one of those guys, okay? And they're terrible. Those movies are awful. This is the same thing in my opinion. It's just you're putting message first. It's like if you want to tell those stories, I think that's great. Put your message out and that's fine. Just don't tell me about your story. Don't just walk out there and tell me like, hey, I think it's about time that a woman makes Star Wars. It's like, well, but a lot of women have made Star Wars. So are you just discounting all of their work so that you can pretend that you're trailblazing?
I got it.
It frustrates me.
That makes a bit more sense. I guess I just still tend to lean on the side of white men in particular, have had a really strong run. And if some of these other genders and races are excited that they're giving a chance, then good for them.
Hey, I'm all for everybody getting to tell their stories. I think that's awesome. I don't know. Just comments like that, I think, are unnecessarily divisive. That's all.
Well, and they sure do divide the internet. There's no doubt. Hell, Nick and I were called incels just yesterday.
Oh, dude, I got one today.
You're an incel? What would? Yeah. Why do you sit there and obsess over women not having sex with you then?
what was ours? It was because we talked about Luke in The Mandalorian. That was what it was.
Yeah, mine's because I read Hayden Christensen's quote on how he thought Anakin was portrayed in Ahsoka. He's like, you guys are stupid idiots. You're incels. You know nothing. You only need the 6 movies. Fuck Disney. It's like, okay.
Dude, I get those all the time.
It's fun, right? I'm very close, and I tend not to read comments, but every once in a while I'm like, you know what? Let's try to feel like shit today. So I'll fire up a comment or two and be like, yep. Don't need that. See you. I'm out of here.
It's so hard for me not to bite back.
Oh, dude, I like today. I couldn't help myself, but I always do it with a cherry on top. It's like, hey, buddy, whatever made you upset today, I hope you have a better day.
That's always what I do too. Every time.
Whatever made you so angry, I don't know whether you're still living with your parents or your sister won't give you some. I feel bad for you, pal. So
savage. Okay.
Whatever you got to do, because typically people like that take time to leave angry comments and attack people online. They've got some pretty dark shit in their life. So
no kidding, I don't get it. Some of the ones we get, I'm like, whew, wow, okay.
Yeah, and you guys are going to be hit with a lot of them because you get a lot more traction. So beware. You might want to just start not reading those, buddy. Anyways, you said something that I think is true. And sadly, I think Mandalorian season 4 is being sacrificed for Ahsoka season 2. What do you think about that?
I could see that. I think that, yeah, because I think they have so many slots in place for Dave's movie, like to lead up to Dave's movie. There's like, because how did John phrase it? Like they have so many seasons of television, like of storytelling, right? When he was referring to Book of Boba Fett, he was like, this is our 3rd season of storytelling.
At one point in time, he's like, I'm making 8 seasons of The Mandalorian, and here we are. So
yeah, now we're having a movie. Exactly. So yeah, I could see that. Like maybe they have 3 stories they need to tell to get to Dave's movie. And yeah, maybe like, okay, let's take Mando S4. Let's take all the plot points, throw it in a movie. And now Ahsoka S2 goes here.
I agree.
I could definitely see that.
And then I think it's going to be his crossover film. I think that's sadly, and it's wild, but I think we're down to 3 properties left to flesh out at least this period of the Mandoverse. I mean, you still technically have almost 30 years to cover before the start of TFA, but I don't know. It seems like they're racing to wrap up this era that has a lot of potential, and it's odd. I mean, I know it's being driven by the bosses, but it seems like we're trying to get out of here faster than what was initially planned.
I view it as they're racing to get it started. Because it's like they've told this kind of adventure of the week style storytelling in this Heir to the Empire movie, which is at least what we're dubbing it, whether it's that plot.
No, you're
or not,
right. Dave himself has been like, listen, people, there is content during this era. It's just in the books that no one read.
Right. So I think that once they get to that movie, hey, then it's off to the races. Okay. It does well. You're looking at maybe sequel trilogy 2.0. Not to say that they're erasing the old one, because that's not happening, but I think maybe we're in for maybe a new method of telling those stories, if you will. I don't know. I'm not saying that very well, but
well, I think the problem they would run into there would be Carrie Harrison. Like, how you gonna?
I know that is the
loop
question.
Them in,
right?
And they don't look geriatric, and one's dead. So
I think they're finally at the point. I think they're recasting. I do. Here's a wild theory for you. I saw Tony here in the chat, Star Wars Sith, throw in that maybe we might get Luke in the movie. Maybe they do. Maybe they try to recast and just test the waters with that and with a little cameo and see what people say. And if people are like, no, we're not doing it, then they rework Dave's movie and do CGI or whatever. They do the deep fakes. Or if people are like, yeah, you know what? I'm down for this.
Yeah. See, Mando and Grogu, I don't see Luke in that movie. I think it's going to be them mostly filling in for the Rangers of the New Republic series that got whacked.
I mean more in like a Stinger type capacity.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Nick and I, in the end game, the crossover, the Filoni movie, we've discussed the problems that Luke could bring to that type of movie, because once he shows up, it's like, okay, well, we win, game over. Nothing matters. Who cares? He'll just zap everybody. So how they use him, I think in Mando and Grogu, you definitely get some Thrawn mentions of him, at least, if not shots. Yeah. But I really think it's going to focus on the apprenticeship of Grogu more than anything, with narrative kind of threads giving us a little bit more meat on what's happening now that Thrawn is back. And then we get Ahsoka 2 to really dive into the politics of Thrawn and the New Republic, in addition to getting Sabine and Ahsoka and wherever the fuck Balin was getting into. And then we get that Filoni crossover. And you said something interesting. So you're saying the crossover may not be the end. It may be a pivot into something new.
That's always how I saw it.
Do you see Thrawn ending in the crossover movie? Does he go away? Do they vanquish that threat so the First Order can truly rise then?
I guess I've always looked at it like, because Thrawn has just gotten back, right? Like he as of right now in the timeline. So even with this movie and then S2 of Ahsoka, that's only two more things of storytelling, two more pieces of storytelling where he can rise. If we really want to make a Thanos level villain, that they're trying to do, a Palpatine, if you will, I think they'd be more successful if they write it out. And if they're using Heir to the Empire as the template, which it does seem, at least on some level, that they are doing.
Of course.
That's a trilogy. I just, why not make that a trilogy of movies? I could see it being the culmination of what they're doing with television, culminating in this movie, but then it starts a new trilogy of movies in the Mandoverse.
Okay.
I don't know.
I got you. I got you.
Maybe we have, like, in between the movies, like there's a season of television or something to fill in some of the smaller, like, Adventure of the Week type stuff. Or I don't know, maybe it does completely culminate with the Heir to the Empire movie.
Yeah, it'd be weird. I mean, you need to. They dabbled at Mando season 3. At least we saw Hux's dad's in there. They didn't. I don't think they really said the First Order, but you could see the players in there. They had a faction. They had a seat at the Shadow Council. They were clearly one of the bigger power players, in addition to Gideon and Paleon. So at some point, you do have to transition away from Thrawn into the true rise of the Order there. So, like you're saying, does that play out over a trilogy of movies, or maybe do we actually do another season of Mando like we thought could happen even with this Mando and Grogu?
Unless they just condense the story of Thrawn into just a single movie, which I guess they could do, but I think that would leave a lot of people somewhat unsatisfied. That would
suck. I think the plan before everything got fucked up would have been Ahsoka season 1, Mando season 4, Ahsoka season 2 movie. I think that was the initial roadmap, because that would have been almost 3 years or 2 years of storytelling, and then you have the culmination in the film.
I did see a pretty good theory that was. Are you familiar with the Heir to the Empire books?
Surface level, man. Remember, words and shit have never been my thing.
So basically, there are the Nogri. Are you familiar with Rook? You remember him from Rebels? Of assassin. So he's in the Heir to the Empire books. He's like Thrawn's personal assassin, and like that species is. I have not finished the books, but I know that they are integral to the plot. And Rook is the one who finally finishes off Thrawn. Spoiler alert! But I've seen some theories that suggest that maybe the Night Sisters are taking the narrative role of the Nogri, and so he's teaming up with them, and then maybe the Night Sisters all kind of are the ones who kill Thrawn in the end, and it also leans in to the Bendu's prophecy, like the your end will come by 1,000 arms or being wrapped around 1,000 arms, however he says. It could also mean the Purrgil, but it could also mean all these Night Sisters like kind of pulling him into some grave.
Hey,
I thought that was neat.
I kind of dig that, because if you remember, obviously in Ahsoka, the Great Mothers seem very subservient to Thrawn. They even call him Master, I think, at some point in time. I mean, there seems to be a reverence for him. They respect his title. They made the deal with him. They seem to take orders from him. But did you notice, like, I think it was the main Great Mother, but when he decides to level their catacombs at the end as they're pulling off, and he's like, yo, just blow that fucking thing up. She kind of looks at him like, hey, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that choice, Thrawn.
I'll have to go back.
It's a very curious look from the main Great Mother that led me to believe that she was not ultimately happy with that decision to what we're all thinking to essentially blow up the Night Sister catacombs that they're moving all those bodies from.
I mean, it's a precarious relationship, that's for sure.
Yeah, and kind of playing off of your speculation there that they could take the place of Rook. Nick and I at one point were like, they could be the Luke. Because that's where he can get the dark magic powers via them versus clone and home slice. So
Seth has been championing that he could clone Anakin.
Would it be Anna?
That's what I said. That's what I said in our video.
What's the fucking choice for that, by the way? Can someone explain?
I think it's just when you're reading it so you can differentiate.
What an interesting choice Zahn went with there. Why not just say clone Luke or dark Luke? Why Luke? It's more than one U, right? Or is it just two U's?
It's just two U's. It's just two.
All right.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Luke.
Okay, so I got another question for you then on Ahsoka S2. Do you think they're both coming back? Ahsoka and Sabine.
Fuck. It's a good one.
Because I stand by. I really think Ahsoka's there to stay. I think Sabine probably comes back, but I think Ahsoka's there to stay, and maybe she dies there.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't. I mean, I obviously it's going to be a huge sacrifice. Essentially, her giving up her life essence, her form, her physical form, will be the last thing needed to propel Sabine and whoever. Maybe by that point, Shin has figured her shit out. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I just think that her arc at the end of S1
it's pretty complete.
Hey, and you are where you need to be. That's kind of that final beat, where Anakin's looking in on her like, hey, you did it. Good job. You're where you're, and they even she says something to that effect, even like we are where we need to be. And I just don't see a need to undo that. I can see Sabine needing to return because her family is back there, but what's left in the other galaxy, like in our galaxy, if you will, for Ahsoka?
Not much.
Luke's there.
Yeah, she knows Junior's there starting up a temple.
But I think for her, she can be like, Luke's got it handled. Maybe I need to be here and handle whatever Balin's doing. And
that would clean up the problem with the Thrawn confrontation in the known galaxy, because if Ahsoka's there, do you need Luke? Because, she's pretty fucking powerful. Do you really need Luke if Ahsoka's there too? And then if Ahsoka is there and Luke shows up, then you're just cutting Ahsoka out at the knees. Right. Like, all right.
That's where I came at the end of the season. When Dave's movie was announced back at Celebration, I remember thinking, okay, if they're doing this Heir to the Empire thing, I think that Luke is probably replaced with Ahsoka. Din probably takes Han Solo's role. And then I don't know who kind of takes the Leia spot. I forget. There was some speculation about that. Maybe like a Bo-Katan or something. I don't know. But now it seems like they've sort of paved the way for the OG trio to just assume their roles. I don't know. It's very interesting the way that they've kind of set the chess pieces.
Yeah, how we could potentially get more General Leia Skywalker vis-a-vis C-3PO. That's how they decide to handle it in Ahsoka. So you could always.
I thought that was. No,
awesome. I love that. It didn't quite give me the Star Wars nostalgia feels that Luke showing up in S2E8 did. But it was a very similar feeling where, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at a TV where you're like, look, right. The guy, it's him. And I'm always going to feel that way when I see an OT character, even though, rewatching the originals and even the prequels, C-3PO is just a puke. He's such a dickhead to R2-D2 in the original trilogy. He's awful. Like, he is one of the worst people in all of Star Wars. To someone that, if you really think about it, R2-D2 has done nothing but take care of this piece of shit his entire existence, right? R2 was a fully realized astromech when he landed on Tatooine and met Anakin Skywalker's creation that was just a husk. And even back then, R2's like, hey, asshole, you're not wearing any clothes. What's wrong with you? Like, come on, get your shit together. And hey, by Attack of the Clones, he got some clothes on. In Attack of the Clones, how many times does he save him in the droid foundry? In the Geonosian arena? I mean, give me a break. And by the time we get to A New Hope, C-3PO treats him like a pile of garbage. Like, you idiot. It's your fault. Funny. I'm always getting in trouble. You dummy, you bucket of bolts. No one likes you. I mean, geez, he's hitting them, punching them on the head. He's awful. But, you know, that's Anthony. He plays it so great. I mean, he plays it so well. It's so funny.
He plays it so straight.
And you do, like, I didn't used to. It's like the older I get, the more I feel bad for R2-D2. It's like, this poor little shithead. If you think about it, he's the reason that the Skywalkers even exist. If it's not for him, Padme gets blasted by the Neimoidians. As soon as she's trying to break that Trade Federation blockade, she's toast. All the other droids failed. It was R2 that hung on and got that shit fixed. Yeah, wow. The droids are special, but not sure why I'm on this tangent, but that's how things go on the Star Wars Snipe Show.
I'm loving it. I'm soaking it in.
Sorry, sometimes I get off track here. All right, we're back. Okay, so I don't think we ever officially announced the news here, but yeah, Ahsoka Season 2 is a thing. It's in development, finally confirmed here. And as we're speculating, it does seem that Mando Season 4, if it is gone for good, may be the victim of Ahsoka getting a second season. And I guess that's okay, as long as the Mandalorian Grogu movie pays off and moves the narrative in a good direction. But I'm always going to want a TV show to stay a TV show, to give us those longer form stories, to give us the overarching narrative, but also to give us little nuggets each week that flesh out the whole galaxy, the characters we're watching, and the show in particular that we're viewing. So we'll see where things go. I mean, dude, we're probably not going to get a ton more news on this type of stuff until Celebration Japan, honestly. I mean, because we don't have a Celebration this year.
Yeah, official news anyway, I would bet.
So I don't think you get a lot of official stuff for close to another year and a half, which is kind of wild. We are going to start trickling out, obviously, the Skeleton Crew promos, Acolyte promos, Bad Batch Tales, stuff we're about to talk about now. But in terms of Mandalorian Grogu, will there be a Season 4 when Ahsoka Season 2 is coming? That months, years, sadly.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But the movie, though, Mando and Grogu, if no strikes happen, no pandemics, if America doesn't turn into Russia by the end of the political season, we could be watching Star Wars in 2025 come December. So that's exciting.
It is exciting.
All right. So here is the big one. The reason you are all here, and that is to figure out what Konnor and myself have deemed the most intriguing, important, exciting bits of Star Wars in 2024. And we're not just talking shows, we're talking toys, games, and shows. I couldn't think of another genre we could squeeze in here. Maybe, you know, Star Wars beauty care, Star Wars soap. I know they make that, stuff like that. But we're going to leave it at collectibles, games, and the shows. Right? You all ready for this? Let's do it.
A triad.
Wait till you see these graphics. If we were doing this at Beyond the Dune Sea studio, you'd actually, like, there'd probably be music going on, maybe some smoke, fog machines, fireworks.
I don't know about that.
Here, hold on. I can use my Mac OS reactions, and I'll do the laser light show real quick. Watch this, everybody. If you're new here, get ready for this shit. Ready? Oh, that's the fireworks. Sorry. You're getting a bonus. Now we'll do the lasers. Yo, look at that. I'm telling you, the effects we have here are impressive. All right. As we teased just now, we're going to go through, we have, I believe it's like 13 things we are eager to check out that is rooted in Star Wars in 2024. We are going to start with the collectibles. Okay. This will be fun because I do a show with someone that absolutely has no passion for collecting, hates it, thinks it's stupid, and we all waste our money. And Nick's probably right, but those of us that are collectors, we know the sickness. We hate it, but we love it. So here we go. We're starting
Seth's
with
kind of the same way. He kind of likes it, but he also is like, he doesn't really buy anything for himself.
he doesn't have the hot toys behind him and all that stuff. There's a reason you all shoot the show in your studio. It's all those pretty toys, all your little friends are with you, right?
I've always joked, like the wall that we shoot on, I built the show around the wall. I didn't build the wall for the show.
Perfect. But hey, I got my Grogu here. He's all excited about his big reveal today. I got the Grand Inquisitor, Mando Luke, Mando Ahsoka all chilling with me. Love but anyways, Konnor, here we go. Our top collectibles of 24, in quotes, if they actually release.
That's true.
You never know. Sometimes hot toys, especially if you buy from Sideshow, you might get a hot toy that released 3 years ago. You just never know based on your distribution. But up first here we have, and this, I added this one to the list because she's just a sassy looking senator. And we're talking about the 1/6 scale Hot Toys Padme, due out in 2024 with her young lover, was that AOTC Anakin. He didn't make the list because I have a bunch of Anakins already. I have very few female Star Wars Hot Toys. I just have a Leia and a Rey. So I'm very excited to add their foremother in Padme. And it's just, dude, it's the Attack of the Clones white. You could tell George Lucas specifically picked this outfit because he was a little creepy and was like, damn, look at Natalie Portman's nipples. Go watch Attack of the Clones. Go watch Attack of the Clones right now and tell me that George Lucas isn't slightly pervy. When she's in that suit, dude, there is nothing left to the imagination. The poor girl wasn't allowed to wear a bra. I mean, she's smuggling peas on Tatooine. Like, Tatooine's supposed to be warm.
Wow. If
you look at Padme, it is not as warm as you think, or she keeps the temperature on her ship very cold. But I do tend to feel bad for Natalie when I see that get up, because you're like, I know George was just staring at that shit. But it's a very basic figure, right, Konnor? Not much packed in, just some hands. You get like her little babushka headdress that I don't think we saw in live action Attack of the Clones.
Isn't that that's from Clone Wars, right?
It just says bonus unused headpiece from Star Wars Attack of the Clones, but I do remember I remember seeing something similar though from the cartoon. Like you may not be wrong, because the same thought popped in my head.
No, this looks great. This was right around, like, these announcements came out right around the time. I swear Hot Toys like made a deal with the devil because they got a new sculptor or something. All of a sudden their likenesses just,
it's a problem.
Like, went up.
It's a problem.
Like, they're so good. See, I'm weird when it comes to collectibles. I don't actually collect these things. When I look at something, I look and say, how many photos can I take of this? And if the answer is like, doesn't equal as much, if it doesn't make sense for how much I'm going to pay for it, then I don't buy it.
That's fucking very interesting, because I am the exact opposite. I've always been a goon collector, like nuts, even when I didn't have money, because my dad was a nut job collector. It took me 35 years to feel comfortable opening toys because of growing up with someone like him. Don't open them. You got to buy two. And even if you buy two, don't open either one. They could be worth something one day. We're going to be rich. Like, okay. We're not, by the way, we're not. And, my dad lives in like a shed by himself in the woods. So open your fucking toys is what I'm telling you. But I can remember Phantom Menace, all the 3 3/4 inch. I had to buy them, couldn't open them. I'd buy two, couldn't even open a two. Dude, I have triplets of some of the original, what is that, yellow, red carded Phantom Menace figures.
Power of the Force.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like, I've got the chips, the chip reader, the Jedi communicator, so you could play the little sounds and whatnot. But it wasn't until I started doing toy photography that I was like, now I can buy more toys, because now I'll be taking pictures of them, and that'll justify the increase in costs. So I actually use toy photography in the opposite method. I use it to justify buying more toys, where you're using it to buy less. So clearly you are more intelligent.
Well, see, my wife would disagree. She would say that I also used it as an excuse. But I also I buy and sell them. So as soon as I have one that's been on the shelf for too long, it's gone. I get rid of it. There are a couple that won't leave. Like I have a Vader. My ESB Vader, I think it's actually up here. My wife bought me that for my birthday one year. That one will stay. Captain Rex is a big one. Like that was a holy grail of mine. That one will stay.
So those guys behind you then, like Din, Ahsoka, the one day they're going to be gone, huh?
If I run out of picture ideas, I have no issue. Like right now, he's got a movie coming out, so I got a feeling that I'm going to be taking photos of him over
this
time.
This is very interesting. Very interesting.
That's just how I've
So would you even consider yourself a true collector then?
Not, I do with video games, but not with figures.
Oh, that's right. Your handhelds. That's where you got a little goofy with that stuff.
That's where my sickness is.
Okay.
Yeah, but I try to keep it, I have this wall right here, and that's where I try to keep it too. And if it gets a little bit more than this, then it's okay, then it's got to go.
That's very impressive, man. Your level of restraint should be applauded, because I have none. None. I'm glad that I've been able to cut the Black Series out of my life.
Oh, me too.
Because that was getting really bad. And one of these days I probably should network with you and your boy and just cut a deal. Be like, dude, here's 1,000 Black Series figures. Some of them hard to find. I don't care. Give me $1,500, $2,000. You can have everything in a big ass lot. I don't give a shit. I'm just done with Black Series. But my problem is, and you clearly don't suffer from this, I really get looped up in I gotta have the whole wave shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I used to be like that too.
And I've started doing it with goddamn Hot Toys, which is that's like a cardinal sin.
Yeah, that's bad.
Because, like you said, once they started teasing some of these clone ones, it's like, oh, Anakin, yeah, I need him. Padme, I need him. Mm-hmm. Oh, Mace Windu? Sure. I don't really like the character. I think Mace Windu's a piece of shit Jedi, but fuck, it's Sam Jackson bald. Right. I'll take it. And even today, I was looking at my open pre-orders because I'm considering the Enoch and the zombie trooper that they just revealed 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, fuck, dude, you still have 17 open pre-orders. 17 open pre-orders. Hot Toys, $250 to $300 plus a piece. Do the math. Not good. I have a kid. She needs to go to college someday. I have a house. It needs lights and power.
See, here's my equation that I go through. When I see an announcement, I'm like, okay, this character, I want to make art with this character. Will the Black Series do? Okay, because a lot of times if it's a trooper and they have a helmet and stuff, a lot of times I'm good with that.
Oh yeah.
But the faces, I can't do those faces. So then I step up and I'm like, okay, will a Black Series with a customized head work? Yeah, you're a big Fett clone type of dude. I love Fett clone. He's awesome. I have a bunch of them right here actually. This Obi-Wan head sculpt is it's insane. So I'm like, okay. Those work a lot of the times. And then if the answer is no for that, then I'm like, okay, then I'll jump up and do the hot toy. Your mainstays, your Vaders, your Anakins, your Lukes, I'm going to go with the hot toy for those. But your characters that I'm not going to shoot as much, like Qui-Gon, for example. I love Qui-Gon, but I don't shoot him enough to need a hot toy. Yeah, I passed on his hot toy and I regret it. But custom head, heck yeah. Pretty damn good. I do have the figure. I had a lot of the figure arts before they started re-releasing them now. I should have sold them when people couldn't get them for, $100. Dude, they used to be so expensive. I'm an idiot. I wait too long. I just go nuts. I need to learn from you. I think your approach to buying toys is healthy. Mine is still tainted with Star Wars is my life. It reminds me of things that make me happy. Yeah. And when I look at these things, it's like, I can't even say childhood with Padme because I was fucking 22 years old, but it's still, it trails all the way back to little Matt watching the VHSs and, watching Luke fight his dad. It means something to me. There are times I'll look at my Deltos and I do feel a sense of
pride. Like, I like this.
Yeah.
I do like this, even though when I think about the total dollar, it makes me want to vomit and then swallow my vomit and then vomit again.
I have to help with that. Here's my other rule that I have. If I am going to buy something, I try to make sure I'm only spending $60. So I will sell other things.
Okay. All right.
So like if I have,
I like this.
it goes with my video games too, my video game collection. Sometimes I'll break the rule if it's if it's something crazy and I really am after it, but it's just to help curb it and keep it balanced because otherwise it gets out of control, So I'm like,
oh, there's no doubt about that. You should see the not finished side of the basement. That's where all the Black Series live now, in just hulking piles of plastic. It's just bodies on top of bodies, bro.
See, that's what's helped with the Black Series is I'd be like, okay, I got a hot toy that's coming out. I have this stack of Black Series I haven't shot in over a year. Okay. I list them on Facebook because that's the best place to sell them because then you don't have to deal with eBay fees and you can sell them for full price pretty much. Sell them, get them out of there. And then there we go. I'm only spending $60 on my hot toy and then I'm ready to go. That's kind of my method.
How close are you guys to Indianapolis then?
To Indianapolis?
Aren't you?
I'm pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not that far. I mean, it's a quick shot over on 70 because I'm in Columbus, so I just jump on 70 and could probably be there in 3 hours. Well, yeah, all right.
Thinking about it now.
I'm just gonna. One day, if you just see a trailer outside your house full of toys with a sign on it, you know where it's from. just give me a cut because at this point, I just want them out. Like, just leave me. All right, I'm eating up all sorts of time here. Sorry, this might be a little bit longer than a 2.5 hour show. People, apologies. So yeah, we got Padme there, loving her, can't wait to get her. I promise I won't do anything weird with it. Up next, and this is one I did pass on because I have the regular edition. I'm sure I'll regret it when it shows up, but this one Konnor wanted out there, and that is the Artisan Edition Hot Toys Revenge of the Sith Anakin Skywalker.
Dude.
And this is the one with the real hair. It does look phenomenal. I mean, it shut down Sideshow's site when they put up the pre-order. It was a thing. It was a movement, right?
Yeah, so I don't pre-order from Sideshow. I told you I have a Hot Toys dealer. And I'm very fortunate, by the way. Mike, my friend, who he's hooked me up, but he couldn't get one of these because it was Sideshow exclusive. Sideshow, from what I understand, only got 1,500 of these. And you had to get in a queue and you got a random number. And I was just fortunate enough. I got number like 700 and something. So, but I saw on some forums that I'm on, people were getting up in the 10,000s. So
this is one, dude. Yeah, take a pick and then flip it for a ridiculous increase.
Oh, this is probably one that'll stay.
You're keeping this guy, pet his head at night. Like I
Rots
love Revenge of
movie.
the Sith.
Like,
I love how you were portrayed. Your fall was perfect.
Yep, that's exactly what it's going to be.
I'll caution you on the hair. Because I do have the Chewbacca that's full hair from Hot Toys. It's work.
I know. I have the Gandalf.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna kind of have to groom him every once in a while, take him out. You know.
It's embarrassing because I have like a doll brush.
Yeah, your wife's gonna be, hey, what's going on tonight? Oh, nothing. Just got to comb my doll's hair tonight. It's.
Well, she's the one who gave me the doll brush. That's what was embarrassing.
Beautiful. I love it. She'll grab her American Girl dolls. You'll get your Anakin. You guys can sit there and be like,
oh no, she was going through stuff from her childhood and was like
perfect,
about to throw it out. And I was like,
oh no, I need that. My one doll needs its hair comb. Please, can I have that? Do you have any recommendations on detangler to use?
Right.
Oh, beautiful, man. What we do with our toys, it's pretty funny. Yeah, this is a hot one, and if you do happen to get one and you need to make some money, this is one you should most definitely flip and not feel bad about it, okay?
Yeah, it's insane.
Do you feel bad? Have you ever flipped for a profit, and do you feel bad about it?
Okay, so there's a difference between scalping and flipping. Like scalping is like taking something that would have otherwise been available to a consumer at market. But flipping for a profit is completely different. I've flipped plenty of things.
Okay. What about intelligence scalping, where you may buy two of one thing to sell one because you know,
I can't.
No, you won't do that. All right.
I can't do it because it's just, As when it comes to toys, especially, it's like I know as a fan who has been trying to collect these things that it's a pain in the neck to get your hands on some of those figures. Like when I was big into Black Series, my goodness, you couldn't get your hands on some of them, least during that, during the height.
You know how many $70 and $80 blue and orange stripe old Black Series I had to buy because I'm a nut? A lot.
Yeah,
and then they re-released almost all of them and they looked better. I mean, if you look at the first version of Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobi Black Series, he looks like he huffed paint all day long. I mean, his eyes are crossed, his nose is sideways. It's awful. I mean, some of the early Black Series sculpts, if they're not wearing a helmet or a mask, they're pretty poor.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, I guess because I've taken it up the butt so bad from scalpers, because I am someone that can't wait. Sometimes I got to have the full wave. I waited too long, missed when they were released. I don't necessarily feel awful if I do it every once in a while. Like I got a lot of Mezco 112 collectives when I was really into toy photography. I'm not anymore. So when they showed up 10 years after I pre-ordered them, I'm going, I don't need this. So they're
well, that's different. I don't know. I think like if you're ordering it specifically to do that, like that's
all right.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want I get you, and I am with you. I'm not here to abuse other collectors, but I've taken a lot of abuse. So sometimes I feel like I gotta make it up on the backside. Yeah. But there are a few out there that I know in the toy. I'm not gonna call them out, but they buy bulk, and they're flipping all these motherfuckers. It's like okay, but anyway, there we go. Artisan Anakin up next. We're going with, I have this one on my list too. He's in my pre-order. Darth Sidious Hot Toys from the Clone Wars. So this is when he's in his purples, I guess is what you'd call that. I will say I know, Konnor, we're going to get the rolling eyeballs, but do you feel like the facial expression was an intriguing choice for this figure? Do you like that kind of he's doing like his do it? I like it. He's in one of his do it's.
I think that doing non-neutral expressions can be a risk, especially for the photographers. Like speaking about it from a photographer's standpoint, I think it could be difficult. Like that new Norman Osborn that just released has that like wild looking expression. I personally would find that limiting as a photographer, but I think that this is what this guy looked like most of the time.
Yeah, no, listen, I dig it. It's a pretty limited package. If people have noticed, I do like that they're now getting away from the little tiny batteries for the lightsabers and are getting into
doing USB,
like the USB power packs. That's kind of cool. But no, I dig this form of Sidious. And this is still technically Darth Sidious. He's not the Emperor yet. Is this the episode where he goes and beats up Savage and Darth Maul?
I think so. Okay. I think that's what they're basing it off of, because he's got that like his little hands like that. And
yeah, it just I mean, he looks cool. I'm a fan of Ian. I'm a fan of this character. I think he's one of the greatest villains, if not the greatest villain in movie history.
Completely agree.
Even more than Vader. Vader, sure, he looked bad. He was kind of villainy, but in the end, he's a good guy when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I think Vader is only the greatest villain in cinematic history when you are talking about impact and iconography. When you think about just bad of the bad, Sidious takes it.
And he wins, and he's a master planner. Everything worked out until... Well, even that got aborted, and literally he did everything right up until he had a clone granddaughter, and then that did him in. Yay, Tross.
Wild stuff.
Yay, Tross. But no, this guy looks good. Hopefully he actually does release in 24. I do, I'm a Sideshow guy, so I always do payment plans, so I tend to get mine a little later than people that buy it straight up, but it allows me to not feel like as big of a drain on the family finances when I do it that way.
Yeah, I usually get mine a little later too, because Mike gets his Sideshow releases in Hong Kong first, and it's usually like a 3-month waiting period before people in the States get them.
Well, that's why a lot of like the hardcore 1/6ers, they go to Pop Collectibles.
Yeah, Pop Collectibles.
Because they'll get them straight from Hong Kong. They like you said, 2 to 3 months before us. All right, next one here. Sticking with the Clone Wars. Do you have the General Skywalker then, the complement with General Kenobi Hot Toys, Konnor? Or are you just getting...
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
So I will be 100% getting both.
So we have Rex Clone Wars, Ahsoka Clone Wars, Kenobi and Anakin, and now Sidious and Fox, right?
Yes. I don't think we got Fox like his phase 2.
No, it's why I'm not getting it. It's still the phase 1 Finn, and I agree with you. I think Fox is much better in the dark red, not the maroon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I passed on that guy.
I think we still need just a regular Padawan Ahsoka.
I have the sideshow version, and she looks great, but it's a piece of shit figure. Literally.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of sideshow figures.
I bought them all because I love anime Clone Wars. I like that style. So I got the Yoda. I have them all but Grievous.
They look cool.
I have them all but Grievous. Cool. I got Cad Bane on pre-order, but Sideshow's 1/6 scale doesn't sniff Hot Toys' butt. It's not even close. Like the quality wise, the Ahsoka in particular. We're talking about maroon Ahsoka. Mm-hmm. She, like a fucking accordion, dude. You stand her up, impossible without some sort of stand to keep her up. All right. So Clone Wars,
Kenobi. General
Kenobi
though, gosh,
pimp.
Look, I mean,
pimp. Better. Listen, I hate to say this because Anakin Vader's my dude, but in terms of a figure, the Hot Toys Clone Wars Kenobi is going to look better than the General Skywalker Hot Toys.
I can't lie. It will.
Yeah, I've always loved this Kenobi look. It dates as far back as the Gennady Clone Wars series. Yes. I love that
I like that they're including that.
Yeah, I was going to say the Phase 1 helmet is everything. That's the nice touch. And I always liked that he went with the traditional clone armor versus Anakin kind of had to paint his and pewter it out. This is looking like a sweet figure. But I feel like, dude, hasn't this one been on pre-order for a decade at this point in time?
No, it just came out last year on pre-order.
Hey. When you hit your 30s and 40s, time will start going even faster for you, pal. Don't worry, it's coming. Next toy here, another, and this one should not surprise you. If you know Konnor, you watch Beyond the Dune Sea, you know he is a super fan of the Kenobi series. So not only is he excited for a Clone Wars Kenobi, but he wants Kenobi.
Yeah, I've been clowned on for my Kenobi opinions. That's fine. I'm like the only person on the internet who seems to like this show.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I just rewatched it because, and this is going to make me sound like I'm an idiot, but I do feel it's a nice companion coming right out of Revenge of the Sith.
I do too.
Before you start watching A New Hope or Rogue One or that type of stuff, because you do kind of get to see a 10-year in the suit Anakin. And what that life has done to him. Yeah. And I do dig that. I will say overall, the production stuff is starting to rear its head more for me, Konnor, when I watch Kenobi.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Especially coming off Andor, it's hard not to see it.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
And I don't know, some of the stuff feels a bit slow or bogged down, but overall,
I always go back to it was meant to be a movie, and you can tell.
Yeah. And it was. I mean, the guy that wrote it, since it came out, is like, no, this was this, and that, and this.
Yeah, this was.
It actually sounded like a great film, but whatever. But no, I'm on Kenobi. I'm a fan of Kenobi, and I'm getting this figure too. But what do you think about that fucking face sculpt, dude?
So I actually passed on this figure because of the face sculpt. But recently, at some of the recent shows, they've updated the sculpt, and it looks way better.
Okay, good.
They've not done any official promos as far as I know, but it looks pretty solid, I think.
So this is a series where I got caught up in I got to have them all because I got the Grand Inquisitor. Revo be coming next week. I ordered Kenobi. I got the Purge Trooper. I'm going to talk about, I got the guy we're going to talk about next. So for some reason, dude, the Kenobi series was like, yeah, I think I'll get every single hot toy they
all look great.
They have to
it's
offer.
Insane. So. They did some dark magic for that Grand Inquisitor figure because that is,
here he is.
Spot
there
on.
He is.
That likeness is unreal.
Yeah, no, he looks good. Looks good. All the plastic up here concerns me if he falls. I can see that shit cracking, but yeah, no, he's a good looking figure.
I'm sure a lot of you guys follow Kiko Collects, but he did a picture of him, and it's like he just found Rupert Grint while they were filming.
Damn it! You just reminded, like,
I just say Rupert Grint. Rupert Friend, excuse me, not Ron Weasley, but Rupert Friend.
You just reminded, like, you know, we lost our account over the summer, which means I lost a lot of the people that were following us and tagging us, and that's one right there that I have not seen since July, Kiko. But I like what Kiko does, because that's kind of what I've kind of transitioned into, just portraits of 1/6 scale, and I like how he lights. Like he lights in a way that's minimal but poignant. Like it's the
really draws your eye.
Right. It's the perfect targeted lighting where I really light a scene where I kind of really light up my subject. I might try to start doing a little bit more of the Kiko shit, but yeah, I'm glad you reminded me about Kiko.
Yeah, I talked to him years ago when I first started doing portraits and asked him for some advice on how to do, like, how he does his lighting. And he's a good dude.
I know portrait, you know, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds with toy photography, because to me there's kind of two brands. There's the scene toy photography, kind of what you're into. Then there's portrait, and portrait, you know, you're like, hey, how hard's that? It's harder than you think. It's not as hard as the scene stuff that people like Press Pause do and Sir Dork, where you're planning things out, you're bringing in, you know, actual practical effects. You know, you're going to need some post on there. Where the portraits these days, and why I've kind of settled on that, it's just a time thing. I mean, being 43, working, I got a kid who's almost 8 now. All that fart around time is gone for me, and I know it's going to be back at some point in time. So I'm hoping I still love toy photography when I can get the time back. But, you know, Konnor, these days, if you can get 2 hours, like, all right, stand them up. Let's stand them up in front of a digital background.
No, I hear
Let's
you,
light
man.
it. Let me try to get a decent portrait, because the way I do it now, I flip my monitor vertical. That's my background. I know I'm shooting.
Really? You do digiramas? I would not guess that. It looks like you had sets.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of like Seth these days. I'm not very active, but any portrait shots you're seeing on Haywood Pop right now are digital backgrounds for the most part.
Well, you sell it pretty well. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Thank you. That's my boy Jason Young over at Work More or Less, was the original digirama guy that I learned from. But yeah, I would love to get back outside, because that is where I loved shooting the most. Even the big boys, I'd take them out. Just, you never know what world you can create even in your backyard. If you get down low on the ground, get a little figure there and put it in your camera lens, you never know what that viewfinder is going to give you. You know what I mean?
I can't do it outside, but I appreciate the people who can.
Yeah. So, hey, there's a type of toy photography for everyone. I just need to get back on the horse, because one problem I have, I would assume you may have based on how you collect. Until I shoot a figure, Konnor, it can't go in its case. Okay. I can't
unbox it until I am ready to take a picture of it.
So yeah, some of that oddity is in there as well. Yep. I can feel you. But I've got the GI, Purge, Cad, Fennec, Mando Luke, and Ahsoka all sitting here unboxed, needing their day at JCPenney's, if you know what I mean. Like they need their portrait family photography so they can go in their damn glass case. I need to do it. All right, back to the topic here. Good times here. We're talking with Konnor Tierney at Press Pause Photography on Instagram, one half of at Beyond the Dune C, a great show over on YouTube and Spotify. We're going through our top most hyped, anticipated Star Wars of 2024. We're going through our toys. Last one here, I believe, is one of my most anticipated figures in all time, and that is Battle Damage Vader from the Kenobi series. I mean, dude, I want this guy so much that I've considered buying scalping prices of the Black Series version that's out now. All right.
This one?
You got him?
This one. I do got him.
So you got the Target pre-order in time and all that?
I didn't pre-order. I actually just happened to see it, and I was like, because I was going to get the hot toy, and I'm like, you know what?
You got him in the wild?
I did.
Holy shit.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I know. I couldn't believe it either.
I'll tell you what, man. When I was in my 20s, living on my own, living down in Texas, one of my favorite things to do was every night go out to toy stores when they existed, Targets, Best Buys for tech. But finding a collectible in the wild, there's no better feeling.
Yes, you're
there's
absolutely
no better
right.
feeling.
I have a friend of mine when the mural art Black Series just launched, we had gone out, her and I, we would go toy hunting all the time. And we were so hyped for that Mandalorian because that was the Beskar Mando. And we were on Pop Finder. You remember Pop Finder?
Yeah,
you could type in the SKUs and we were like, there's one target. It's an hour and a half away. And we were so stupid. We were like, we're going to drive that full hour and a half. And sure enough, they had the whole wave. And it was like Christmas morning,
I mean,
and that was even that long ago. That was like a couple of years ago.
That's what I mean. It just like collecting has changed dramatically, probably since the pandemic, even a little bit before.
Yeah.
But I can remember, dude, TFA, TLJ, Toys R Us would have a dedicated midnight toy launch.
Yeah, Force Friday.
Yeah, I'd be down there with all the other nuts. Like, hey, let us in. Let's try to get the wave. And that's when I was still collecting the Funko Pops. Like, I remember those. Like, oh, there it is. I got it. Do you really need 3? No. Okay, give me one then, you dickhead. Like that type of stuff. You'd be
Right.
You kind of be with your own kind, but that's always dangerous because they are like you and they're going for the same shit as you. All that's gone now because really brick and mortar toy stores are dead. All we're left with are the Targets of the world, and depending on what city you live in, your Target or Walmart toys could be complete barf.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That'd be my dream to find him in the wild because I just...
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay. Because I don't really look that often anymore. And because I don't really look for anything anymore. I do go down to I don't get there often enough anymore, but my local toy shop, they get just about everything in. So like if I'm ever in the market for like a new Black Series that's going to come out or something, I don't pre-order anymore because I know he's going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's been replaced with is just online pre-orders. That the hunt has all but been killed for the most part.
Yeah, it's sad.
All right, so we got this Hot Toys Battle Damage. He looks awesome. Can't wait.
It's going to be sick.
All right, so moving into games here. I threw this one on the list, and its development has been sketchy. It was supposed to come out, I think, a year or two ago, so it's probably going to be garbage. But just for the fact that it's taking so long to launch, and the fact that it is kind of like the arena team-based Overwatch style shooter, I do have interest in checking out Star Wars Hunters.
Yeah. When that was announced, I thought the announcement was going to be like a Star Wars Battle Royale. And then it was this. So I'll admit I was a little disappointed because I wanted a Star Wars Battle Royale game. Because I'm not a Fortnite guy. I did like Warzone at the time, so I was hoping that there would be a Star Wars version of that. This, I'm intrigued to check it out. I really don't have much else to say about it other than just it's intriguing. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's Star Wars. It doesn't look like crap. I'm going to try it. That's pretty much who I am. I know sometimes Konnor has like, he's like calms me. I don't think I've really had too many freakouts today, which is impressive. But and I really do like all Star Wars. Even when I get on my tangents about the prequels, Revenge of the Sith in particular, you got to understand, Star Wars is still number one with me.
Yep, exactly.
I can critique it. That's okay. That's called having an opinion. Everyone should get used to that. It's okay to have different opinions, as long as you don't share them on the internet, and then it's not okay according to most people because they're the experts. You're the idiot.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Just don't be an incel, Matt. That's all it comes down to.
That's right. I sit here every day like, why won't they have sex with me, Mom? So yeah, no, Hunters. I kind of like the animation style. The genre, like I said, if done right, could be fun in the Star Wars universe, where you kind of have specific class-based roles. If it feels anything like Overwatch, I could at least fuck around with it for a little bit because I miss competitive gaming, competitive shooters, stuff like that. I think that'd be fun every once in a while. All right, the other game we're looking forward to, and this is the big one. I am really jazzed for this, and I think Konnor is as well, and that's Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes. Star Wars Outlaws
now should be coming out late 24 instead of in a couple months, but that's good. It's still coming out this year. Nick and I we're kind of speculating that it may hit during the video game release season, which is usually in the fall, October to December, to kind of capitalize on the holidays and whatnot. But Konnor,
that's kind of Ubisoft's window.
Yeah, it's just like it's going to be a first for Star Wars. Outlaws is. This is the first time we're ever going to get a pure open world Star Wars game. KOTOR, not open world. It was big for its time, but not open world. You still had to go to dedicated planets. The planets were walled off, so on and so forth. This is going to be open. There's going to be factions. There's going to be morality. You're playing as this upstart scoundrel, which I love. I really appreciate that you're not coming in as a known character or a space wizard. I love that you're just kind of a person. So the potential here, and knowing Ubisoft's background in these types of games, Massive's background with these types of games, we've always, all of us, whether you know it or not, your subconscious has been asking for, it'd be great to have like an Assassin's Creed, but Star Wars.
Yep, exactly.
Or the, did you play their Shadow of Mordor series, but Star Wars? We've always wanted that, and that's what this Outlaws is supposed to be, and I'm super excited for that potential. I'm going to be 44 years old, and that'll be the first time in my life that I'm truly playing an open world Star Wars game, and that's very exciting for me.
It is exciting. I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan, or at least I used to be. And yeah, just the idea of like Assassin's Creed in space is super intriguing to me. I said this on our show last week that I think at worst this game will be bland competence, and I think that's. But for
Ubisoft. People like us, that'll be like a 10 out of 10, right? I mean, even if it's...
but it's still Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I say that as like a good thing because I think that not that it would be good to get bland competence, but that I don't think that we're going to get just absolute garbage from this game.
No.
I think that it's going to be pretty solid. It's just Ubisoft makes pretty rock solid games. They have kind of by the books design choices. It's going to be pretty familiar, I think, feeling, but familiar gameplay wise, and just a new way with Star Wars. Because like you're saying, we've never had this with Star Wars. So I think going with someone like Ubisoft is a smart move, because now, we're going to take that familiarity that everybody who plays video games knows, and we're putting them in a galaxy far, far away, which I think is a really cool, really good choice. I'm excited. I'm really excited for it.
Like I said, having a kind of I know she has a name. Is it Kess or K or Val? I forget.
Oh, geez.
Off the top of my head, it's something like that. You're going to have this droid in a trench coat. She's going to have this little alien companion that's supposed to kind of serve as a BD1 type of character. Now, I heard you're a big fan of Cal Kestis. I heard that. I was like, I don't know about that shit.
I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't say huge fan.
He does get better in Survivor.
I do like him.
He gets 10 times better in Survivor, but to me, he's always milquetoast cow from the first game. He just didn't really stand out.
I know.
Survivor, there was a shift. He definitely got a little edgier, so I'm a little higher on Cal these days. But the Survivor, the gameplay is still hot garbage. So moving on.
I know you're a Souls-like hater.
Yeah, but a Jedi should not fight like he has a broadsword. You know what I mean?
That's true.
How many parry counters do we really see in Star Wars movies that go slow? Go slow. Okay.
I just think that it's difficult with like a video game translating that, because you either on one hand you're going to have a hack and slash like Force Unleashed, and that gameplay can get really stale. At least it does in my opinion. Or you go with something like Fallen Order, and you just have to deal with kind of some of the lore inconsistencies. I
just hate how heavy everything felt. You know what I mean? Like Cal should be zipping around like. All right, whatever. Nice sound effects there. Here, this isn't it. I forgot this one was even coming out, but I'm definitely adding this to my radar now that Konnor brought it up. But that is Dark Forces Remastered, and I actually have a screen of one of the remastered. Now, then don't get crazy. They didn't bring it into 21st century visuals, but they kind of put a nice coat of polish on. It's going to release on pretty much every platform out there, and this one's coming up, I think, end of February. So
yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, because over Thanksgiving, PlayStation was running like a stupid sale on Star Wars games. I just got my PS Portal handheld, so I was able to stream from my PS5, making it easier to game around the house with the family. So, dude, I grabbed Jedi Academy 2, Republic Commando, Pod Racer.
Nice.
So it's like my brain is already in that. Well, really, this is kind of the game that kicked off.
Yes,
all that, all the Kyle
everything.
Katarn adventures. So yeah, I'm definitely ready to check this one out again.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's one I've never played any of those games, so I'm excited.
Really? Like none of the Jedi Outcasts or Academies, or
no, because I never had consoles growing up. We only ever had handhelds, and so I missed a lot of those.
Well, the next time they mark those down to like a couple bucks, you might want to fire those up.
I'm looking to get the Heritage Pack on Switch because I'm more of I have a PS5.
Perfect. Yeah, same thing then. Same games for sure. Yeah, you won't be disappointed. I think it's Academy, and it really is. I mean, you're playing as one of Luke's initial students, and Kyle's kind of your master. So it's good shit, at least for Legends type of characters. All right. So now we're moving into the shows of 24. So we're winding things down here. I know the show's been going a bit long. Hopefully everyone's been enjoying our special guests. We got Konnor from Beyond the Dune Sea over here. Hopefully his wife's not like, hey, dude, it's time to stop playing Star Wars with your friends on the internet, because we still have to get through a bit of the fan segment. Maybe I'll do it on my own if he has to go. But anyways, looking forward to shows in 24, buddy. We've got Bad Batch Season 3. Quite frankly, are you kind of surprised we have seen nothing for it yet? Because, I mean, Season 2 dropped about this time last year.
I'm not surprised.
Strike
just
stuff.
Because strike stuff, and also Star Wars is very strategic about their marketing drops. They've always have been. I feel like people compare Star Wars a lot to Marvel just because they're both Disney properties now. But I feel like with Marvel, they're just all the time. Like, you may go and they'll drop a trailer here, a poster here, and
they dropped the whole series today.
I know, right?
I didn't even know it was coming. Like Echo,
I didn't either.
Echo released in full today on Disney Plus.
Right, same. I had no idea. So you have that with Marvel, but then on the Star Wars side, they're very strategic, and so I think that some people, it's hard for the disconnect there. So for me, I'm not surprised that they're not.
Do you think Season 3 kind of kicks things off on Disney Plus? Is it the first show of the year?
I would wager a guess. So
yeah,
yes,
I do too. I honestly, I would not be surprised if we get a trailer in the next month.
Yeah, I would even wager a February drop, and then our first big. It's either a February drop or they're really saving everything for May the 4th. That's my guess.
Okay.
Because I mean, that's a perfect opportunity. They're dropping a show on May the 4th. I think
because last year it was Tales of the Jedi, I believe, was the May the 4th show.
Well, Tales of the Jedi was fall of 22.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It was Visions Season 2
yes.
was May the 4th.
Yes,
you are correct. Yeah, I don't know. I could see Bad Batch being a March, April. If we're lucky, or like you said, it's the May kickoff. So, yeah, I mean, listen, it's the final season. I think we all know kind of where it's gonna head. I was hearing you guys talking about it a bit. I'm kind of with you. Nick and I, we've been saying this. The Bad Batch outside of Omega probably needs to die in effort to propel her forward. And like Nick and I years ago, even before Book of Boba Fett came out. Really, there's a lot of potential to tell stories about the Alpha and the Omega. Okay?
Exactly.
We got Alphas.
Like,
Boba.
why set that up?
Yeah, I mean, it's too on point. I know Dave isn't directly over the animation wing anymore. It's Jennifer and Brad, but Dave still is Dave. And you don't trickle that type of shit in there just for shits and giggles. I don't think so. And
I completely agree.
I would love to see some continuation of Omega beyond Bad Batch, but it brings her in with her brother somehow. I don't know if that's as adults in Book of Boba Fett Season 2, because they're kind of eating up that Rise of the Empire era at this point in time, but I think it's going to be a somber season. But I think one that gives us super fans even more insights into those early years of the Rise, specifically what's going on at Tantus and the Emperor's cloning projects.
Yep, 100%.
So that's
I'm with you.
all awesome shit to look forward to. We'll be doing it. Beyond the Dune Sea will be doing it. We're all going to have our breakdowns once the season drops. So
yeah, I'm stoked. It's probably my most anticipated of the year, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an era I very much enjoy these days. I love that the Bad Batch was created to kind of give us a look at that literally day zero of the rise of the Empire, and kind of take us through the galaxy becoming imperialized, and how the people were just kind of sitting around like, hey, fuck, the war's over. That's all right. You guys want us to have tags and numbers and our ships have tags. It sounds good. Makes sense. It's all in the name of peace, right? Peace and victory. And then we see how he just kept abusing that. And eventually we have the OT and Andor and the people revolting against the one thing that they initially accepted as hey, this is what we were fighting for. So yeah, really great franchise. Sad to see it go. Now, Konnor, do you think this is another victim of budget shit, or was Bad Batch always meant to just be a 3-season run?
No, I would guess it was always meant to be a 3-season run. It feels like a pretty contained story.
Yeah. I mean, they had a lot of time to tell, because it literally started at Order 66. So yeah, I mean, they could have technically taken it 10 years up to Kenobi.
Yeah, they could have.
That's all fresh content.
It out. I think this is why I like the show. I was so impressed with season 1 that it was such a personal story with the Batch.
Season 1 better than season 2, right?
In my opinion, I know that's somewhat of a minority take.
Is it? I don't know, man.
Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. Season 1, in my opinion, was much better. I was not down on season 2, but
I liked season 2 as well. But I thought the season 1 was better.
Season 2 had a few clunkers, like that one where it's literally just the island and a tsunami shows up. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, Seth is a big season 2 fan. He loves it. And then we got a lot of comments that were the same way. They're like, Team Seth.
All right. I don't know. I felt like season 2, you definitely got a little more personal. They all started to develop a bit more personalities, Tech in particular, because they were setting him up for that great impactful death. Please stay dead, Tech. Stay dead.
Yes.
Don't bring him back. Gosh. We don't need it. It was beautiful. Even getting the goggles, beautiful. Don't bring him back.
That's what. Yep.
There we go. Bat said season 1's better. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Bat.
So we got another one with us. I'll put it up there just so people can see and they don't think we're lying. There you go. Season 1 was better. That's all we need to know. So yeah, we're looking forward to Bad Batch for all those things we just said. Next show here, Skeleton Crew.
I don't have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think this, out of the live actions, I think this one it will release first.
Yeah, I agree.
In this year, because from everything we were reading, Konnor, it should have been a 23 release. After Ahsoka, it would have been like the end of the year show we were going to get. But I mean, the strikes happened, things got delayed, but it is coming out this year. And this one is, we keep forgetting about this one. This is Mandoverse. And this could, while it sounds like they're going to contain it to an Amblin type of adventure through the lens of kids, it could add a few more layers to what's happening in that Mandoverse era. Who knows if that means Thrawn's involved at all? It could be a mention. Hey, he returned. It could be something as casual as that. But as we were talking earlier, hey, we may only have 2 more shows before the movie. This technically would count as well.
That's true. It's another season of storytelling. Yeah, I'm stoked. Stranger Things in space, as it's somewhat been billed.
Jude Law is a Force user.
Yeah, it's kind of another mystery box show. It's like, what's going to go on? A
child-size Max Rebo alien is going to be a Nautilin or whatever they're called. They're going to be one of the main kid characters.
Urkel's going to be in it.
Yeah,
it's wild
Urkel.
Stuff,
I know some people are saying he's going to be Hondo, but who knows? Because the reason they run with that, right? I don't know if you've heard that, but when he revealed that he was on this project, he said he had to be in makeup for like 2 or 3 hours a day as a pirate.
Right. Like, yeah, he implied.
But he could be like Vane, and because Vane is going to be in this show too. Vane, the pirate from Mando season 3.
Yes.
He's
cool too. I like him.
But that would take a lot of time too. So Urkel could just be like another Nikto or something like that, and not Hondo. Although, if we are going to get Hondo, this series would be the ideal place to plop him in, because it is going to heavily focus on space pirates.
Yeah, I am down, man. I'm excited. I really, like I said, I kind of don't have a lot to say about this one because I just don't know. I don't know what's all going to happen. Yeah, we don't know much about the show.
I mean, there was a point in time where they were hinting that this somehow would tie into Ahsoka.
Peridia, right? Yeah.
So, Nick and I, we've been spitballing. Does that mean it actually physically takes place in that galaxy? Or are they in our known galaxy and they get lost in that galaxy? And who knows?
Seth and I were pleading, like, please don't make this show be how Ahsoka and Sabine come back.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like,
I think Ezra has to be involved in that.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but it's just like, I know it was in some official channel. I feel like they did mention it was something between galaxies, right? Didn't they mention that this show does take place?
Well, they keep saying that they get lost in the unknown lost in the galaxy, lost in the unknown. Well, there's an unknown galaxy in our known galaxy. Oh, no, that's the unknown regions of the known galaxy. Then the unknown galaxy was where Peridia was at. So
yeah, okay. See, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Who knows? I would prefer to them to stick in our known galaxy, I guess, but maybe gallivant around some new stuff and not desert planets like all we ever see in our known galaxy. But I don't know. Is it like veins involved? So could Navarro be somehow looped in? Who knows? I like that, though. I like that there's not a lot out there about this show. And,
yeah, I do too.
And one of the ones we're going to talk about here before we wrap this segment. So, but I do.
Heck, stealth drop the whole thing. I'd be up for that. Don't even drop a trailer. Just drop it.
Kind of like Echo on Disney Plus. It's like, oh, hey, the whole series is here. Should you care? I don't know. But this one should be exciting. I do think this will be the second out of the gate after Bad Batch. Next show here, and I'm with you too. Tales of the Jedi Season 2. In fact, I'm sure you guys are going to do one. I already have it written down on my special topics for a rainy day sheet. But I want to do Tales of the Jedi candidates. Who should be in Tales of the Jedi Season 2? I think Baylan Skoll is a fucking fantastic candidate, right? Let's see who he was. They could do for Baylan what they did for Dooku in Season 1. I still think what was done with Count Dooku in Tales of the Jedi Season 1 is some of the best
it's very good
Star Wars narrative we've ever gotten. And after watching that, it's like, holy shit, Dooku is the man. And Yoda and Mace are 100% the reason. Guys, there's bad shit going on here. The Senate's fucked up. Something's not right. Hello, I'm having dreams about too. Yoda's like, oh, we don't like dreams. Shut up. Go away. It's dangerous. He's like, okay, I'm going to go join the Sith.
There's a great quote from, there's a book, it's called like the Book of the Sith or something like that. And there's a quote from Dooku where he's telling Palpatine that Yoda is the reason the Jedi suck.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, dude, that's the other best part in Attack of the Clones. He literally sits there to Obi-Wan Mullet Kenobi and says everything. Hey, guess what? The Sith have infiltrated the Republic. They've taken over the Senate. The Sith Lord is the fucking Chancellor. Come on, hello, anyone. This is what I was telling everyone is going to happen, even though I've essentially helped it get there. But he warned them all. He was trying to say, like, this is what we need to do. Instead, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go join this Sidious guy because he's feeding me a line that I like to hear. Like when he kills Yaddle, dude, that's like,
dude, it's a good scene. Fantastic. Man. It's sad, but it's great.
Go ahead. What do we got? Mando Pirate saying here.
Mando Pirate said who would be my top candidate? Ben Solo
and Tar Vizsla. I'd love to see Tar Vizsla's a good one too.
Tar Vizsla would
be
cool.
really.
That's a
Ben Solo.
You know
that'd be interesting.
I'd love a Ben Solo adventure with like Luke and
right. But do you?
I actually had a comment today because we said this in our video, and there was somebody who made a comment. It's like if they're going to do a 3-episode arc, do one with Leia or one with Han, one with Luke, one with Leia with Ben Solo. Like that's a super fun idea.
See how
Give me
he
that.
falls apart. See, He's not a Jedi, though, technically. He's still classified as an unaligned Force user.
Even when he's being trained by Luke? Because that's where I'd like it to be.
Yeah, I guess that'd work.
Because I would like it to be during that period, like when he's
well,
when he's
I
being
guess
trained by
here's
Luke.
the other like super dorky shit. Since are we considering Ben Solo a Boken Jedi since he's not being trained at the temple, or is he now becoming back to a traditional
new Jedi? I think that's new Jedi.
All right.
Yeah. I'm with bat semantics.
Yeah, we Nick and I classified him as Boken because he's being trained by a Boken Jedi, and they're not necessarily following what the Jedi Order did.
But they're like a new structure, right? I think that they're like Boken. I would consider to be like there's no structure. You're kind of doing what you have to do.
I think the way Balin laid out Boken, at least to me, was you're Boken if you were trained outside the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. I
get that, but at what point though? If there's a new Jedi temple, do you create a new? Are they just Jedi again?
Rey's movie, the new when they call it New Jedi Order.
New Jedi.
That's
Order,
when
Luke's
Konnor.
didn't count.
That's when. Yeah. Well, yeah. Luke's was a big failure. He only had like 3, and they're all dead. I think he had four total pupils, and they're all dead, and one quit. And one was like, "Fuck you! I'd rather be a Mandalorian." So,
didn't he have more? He had more than that. There were only 4 that survived the.
What is it? It was Vo, Hennix, and Kai.
And that's the ones who hunted down Ben Solo,
right?
And then Ben killed them all.
The I think there was like a Twi'lek lady that was above them.
Yeah.
Well, as of now, I mean, shit, dude. Star Wars canon changes every day when they feel like either writing a new comic or a new book, so you never know.
That's true.
But yeah, Tales of Jedi, awesome stuff. Go ahead.
Here's another whack one before we move on. I know it's weird because we have so much content with these guys, but Anakin and Obi-Wan, right as they started their apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
As master and apprentice, or both as the Padawans
master
themselves?
and apprentice, like when Obi-Wan takes him on as an apprentice.
Day 0 after the celebration on Naboo, like little Jake Lloyd in his tunic after he's given eyes at Padme, we pick up right there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I dig that because that'd still be young brash. I hate this fucking kid Kenobi.
Yeah. I think that'd be fun to see how that.
He'd actually have a good looking haircut because the mullet wouldn't be in yet. He just has snipped his little rat tail.
Yep.
Yeah, I could get down with that. Cause I don't think we need Kenobi as Padawan because we kind of get that in TPM, so that's fine. No, I dig that. I could do that. Anything Anakin, sure. I know that sounds weird because of how I feel about Revenge of the Sith, but he's still my guy. I mean, the reason I got so excited for the prequels is because I'm finally going to get to see how Luke's dad, the greatest Jedi of all time, could become a mass murderer. And that was very exciting for me. Okay. And our last top Star Wars moment of 2024 is the Acolyte.
The Acolyte.
And I personally put this one as the last one, Konnor, because it is my most anticipated. I'm very intrigued by this one for multiple reasons. It's going to be told in a brand new era. It's going to give us our first live action look at what the High Republic, or at least the tail end of it, was functioning like and looked like. And more importantly, the bad guys finally get to be the protagonists.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. The promise of seeing how the Sith started to infiltrate the high echelon or the high society, potentially getting into the Senate, getting into the Jedi Order even. What were the Jedi like? I mean, what was their hubris like at this point in time? Will there be mentions of Plagueis? There's so much.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, man, there's so much potential with the dark side that I cannot deny this as being what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, this is. I am very cautiously optimistic about this one. The only reason cautiously is because we're telling a story about Darksiders. I'm worried that we're going to get another redemption story. Because it's like this is 100 years before TPM, so whoever we're following, that's close enough to TPM that we don't know what happens to her, right? Because we're following
Amandla Stenberg's character. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to remember her name. So we're following her character through this period. Obviously, we hear nothing about her
Correct.
in TPM or any of the lore that we know in canon. So I'm worried that it's not something as simple as, redemption story. She becomes a good guy, sacrifices herself, something like that. I don't know. But on the flip side, I was speculating with Seth. I think this could be cool that maybe this does get really out of hand and the story could end with like the Jedi uncovering the acolyte and maybe they defeat her and sweep it under the rug because the Jedi were pretty corrupt by this point.
I like that. I think that makes sense. You know, like, hey, we got to keep this narrative going that we wiped the Sith out thousands of years ago and there's no way they could ever return. We're the fucking Jedi. Look at our golden white tunics. We're awesome. I could see that, like, and that's where the hubris really begins, and their failure is kind of etched in stone with that choice, right? That is. Yeah. Now, obviously, there have been many choices before that. The Jedi were always destined to fail, but that was like maybe the last domino. Like, this guarantees their failure now, because Yoda would have been involved in that decision.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
I mean, Yoda's only fucking 800 at this point in time. 780, 790, something like that. Yeah. So,
and maybe they're just in extreme denial too. Like, nah, this can't be a Sith. It's just a pretender. Because we're reading through Plagueis right now, and there's a bunch of pretenders out there, like Sith pretenders.
What if it's Plagueis ends up taking out the acolyte because he's like, listen, I've got the plan. You guys are fucking it up. You're starting to become too out and about, maybe. I don't know, but I don't want Amandla to be redeemed and, you know, she becomes a Jedi or some shit like that. Are you kind of referring to what happened with Reva?
Yeah. Okay. I just think it's a by the book story. We've gotten it too many times, and I'm like, I just think that's a boring way to go about it. If we're finally going to get a story from the bad guy's point of view, tell me that story. Don't tell me a story of someone who's conflicted and who wants to come back and who comes back in the end, you know. I'm fine. I assume that she will start as a Jedi, but I think that's a more fun story.
Right.
Like, make her just be bad.
Yeah, the way it seems is she trained, but I don't know if she fully left the order, but she definitely left her master. And it seems like they're going to link back up because he's going to need her to potentially go out and investigate these rumors of dark sorcery.
Yeah. I just hope, man, I really do hope we get some... I really hope we get some Plagueis. Here's a wild thought, because in the Plagueis book, Palpatine gets Maul as a baby because he goes to Dathomir on just kind of like, he's just there, and it just happens to the opportunity presents itself, and Plagueis has been teaching him about like living in the moment. I wonder if like this person, wouldn't it be wild if like that was Maul's mother, or if it was Maul, like Mother Talzin, even like if they were going to follow loosely the canon of the Plagueis book. And so maybe if they discover Plagueis, the end of the story could be like, okay, we're axing the acolyte because we're just going to take this baby's more powerful than you anyway. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
wild harebrained theory there, but
I think Nick and I were trying to somehow figure out if we could cram in like a baby Sheev somehow, but he's not quite age appropriate, I don't think.
Yeah, I know, it's still 100 years. That's why as I was saying that, I'm like, we're still 100 years out, so I know that doesn't really work. But I do find all that fascinating.
I like your idea that this somehow makes the Jedi look very shady by the end of it. I like that end right there. Like the end of the Acolyte is the Jedi looking bad. I kind of dig that because it makes sense to where they end up when Mace is running the show with Yoda and just making bad call after bad call.
It keeps the Acolyte as the hero too.
Yeah. No, I'm digging this. I like this. You can come back. You can do this again if you want. All right. Although this is going to be a long show, so I'll start moving here through. All right. Well, that kind of wraps our special topic for this week, our look at the top Star Wars moments of 2024. We hit collectibles, we hit games, we hit shows. We're not done yet, though. We still got the fan segment to get through here. And I forgot to pull up the questions they had for us. So we'll just kind of start with that. Typically, each week, we dedicate one segment to our fans. We give them a question to reply to on StarWarsTime.show over on Instagram. And we also do the top 5, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But kind of taking a cue from Beyond the Dune Sea to try to get a little more reaction, we started asking questions. We don't get many, but we did have 3 this week, Konnor. So I'll go ahead and switch some screens up here.
Hit me.
And we'll navigate these, you and I, and then we'll see what the fans had to say about the question week. Then we'll do the top 5 and get your ass out of here. I appreciate your time, your effort. You are a true Star Wars bro. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate being here.
All right. So our first question here comes from our buddy Mando Pirate, who is live right now in the chat. That's a beautiful thing. He is asking, what is your favorite sentient alien species?
We got this question a few weeks ago, and I didn't have this answer. I'm going to give such a basic answer. Probably a Togruta, just because I'm an Ahsoka fan. Although I do like Mon Calamaris as well.
Hey, it's not bad. Yeah, hey, listen, Mando. I know where you're going with this. I know you're a dirtball like me, and you kind of have a thing for women with head tails. So I'm guessing you liked Connor's Togruta answer for sure. You're probably looking for some Twi'lek action in there. I could see that. I guess I'm torn between Twi'leks, Togrutas, and Ewoks. I love me some Ewoks.
Ewoks are fun too. I guess Wookiees, obviously. They're
pretty awesome too. All right, Dirtbag Matt, Twi'leks. Okay, I mean Hera, orange pants. Come on. Normal Matt, Ewoks.
All right, there we go.
Gotta love those little guys. All right, next question for us, Konnor here. If your house is on fire and you could only save one piece of Star Wars memorabilia, what is it?
Oh, man, what a question.
This one's tough. This is like a would you rather deal.
Jeez. I'm like looking around my studio here. Like, piece of Star Wars memorabilia.
I have so much, it's stupid. Like,
I'm like, I don't know that I have a ton of super sentimental stuff from like when I was a kid. Oh, I do actually. I have the Saga Collection Darth Vader, which was part of my original journey to becoming a fan. It was a 3 3/4 inch figure. It was right after I watched those movies, and we went to Walmart right after, or in that week or so, and I saw that figure, and I was like, I gotta have it. And almost all the paint's worn off of it, and it's one of my favorite toys from when I was a kid. So that one.
Damn, man. I have so many. I mean, I literally still have a bulk of my Konnor collection from the 80s. But the fact that they're all kind of locked up in a box, does that, I don't know.
There you go, just the bin.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, that makes it easy to get away, but is that really that important then if they've just been sitting in a box for 30 years or whatever? Fuck. Damn. I guess these days, just because it is just a great looking piece if you have it. It's fantastic. And it's limited, so I know it's valuable. The HasLab Razor Crest.
Good choice.
It's not a good choice, but it's right behind my shoulder, and it's the biggest thing I saw, so I'm gonna go with that. It should be something Darth Vader. I can't think what it would be. All right, next one here. Oh yeah, the Maul Skull from Bat. Bat, actually, that's moved right here now. It's in a prime position on the desk. I love that thing. What item sparks the most joy? These days, it probably is my Hot Toys. I'd say the Empire Vader or the Rots Anakin. As much as I don't like him in the movie, I love the figure. He looks great. All right. This one is mostly for you. This is coming from our Discord from League of Extraordinary Sixers. She asked us last week, and I'm kind of interested here. What's your show prep like, Konnor? If you could do that quickly, like to get a show ready for Friday release.
So okay,
you writing scripts, blocking scenes. I mean, what we got?
Now that we do the intros, it's a little bit more complicated. So basically, Seth and I, we try to come up with 2 or 3 shows that we know, so we know about a month in advance. We just starting this week have started doing pre-recorded like in advance shows, but previously we were doing them like the week of. We were recording on Wednesdays to release on Friday, which is ridiculous. But we would do the intros the previous week. So basically, for example, I'll give a little teaser for this week where we're doing a retrospective.
Star Wars Time Show exclusive. Woo woo.
So we're doing a retrospective on Rogue One.
Nice.
Because we got a lot of flack for our tier list listing. We put it in C tier.
You didn't rewatch it after Andor?
No, I didn't.
It's a very highly recommended activity to do because I was never like, I know some people are like, oh, Rogue One is life. Disney Star, it's everything. I know. And I'm like, hey, yeah, it's not garbage, but I'm telling you what, dude, it's a completely different.
It is enhanced with Andor.
100%. Like Cassian is like, okay, I get this guy a little bit more now. Okay. Anyways, go ahead.
So we did, we had that as our idea. We came up with an intro idea, this kind of silly idea about us being on the Tantive 4. So I scripted that out, and we filmed that. So we will film that, and I'll usually have a day set aside where I'll edit the intro, and then we'll film the show. So we film the show, and then I'll edit the show, and then kind of bundle it together. So I'm a big, I did the bulk of the work for the show when we started the show. So I made presets and I made everything so that I could just copy and paste for everything going forward. So when I get done with the cut, it's pretty much a drag and drop. I'm good to go.
What do you do it all in? After Effects, you said?
I do Premiere. Okay. I edit my photos in After Effects, but
your films all
and I do Premiere. my visual effects in After Effects. So but we have
does Premiere do the captions for you, or do you have to do all that shit?
No. So the way I do that workflow, this changed the game for me. So Premiere is great for intricate editing, but it's very much like a filmmaking type of program. For what we do, we don't need that. We need just kind of, let's get it done, run and gun. Let's just get it done, get it out the door. So in Premiere, I will cut the short. So I'll get the vertical content cut, and that's it. It's just just our faces. I'll get it out there, and I'll get it on my phone, and then I use CapCut for everything else. So that's using the overlays, the text, sound effects, everything else all comes on just editing it on my phone because it is so much more streamlined to do that little graphical editing.
So when you add actual clips from, I like how you guys will, if you're talking about something, you'll splash it on the screen. That's in the Premiere part?
No, I do that on CapCut.
So you just grab random clips from the internet, or do you have them downloaded?
So I'll go to there's a couple different Star Wars screen cap websites that have 1080 or 4K screen caps. I usually go there, get the screen caps that I'm after, and then screen record a clip if I need it, and then splice it in, do a little bit of rudimentary editing on CapCut. But that's all you need for the reels. You don't need complicated editing software to do that kind of stuff, and then you just auto-generate the captions.
Beautiful.
So
send me those clip links after the show. I don't know if I'm going to do it because I don't have the time. That's why Opus has been nice, because it's mostly thoughtless. I know it's not the production's bootleg, but who cares?
I'll say once you get the workflow kind of figured out, it is it can take me anywhere from 15 minutes to, if it's a really complicated one, like an hour.
Oh, I am a fan of workflows. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's template life over here as well. Just I don't quite have the talent you do. So what do you say? Like 20 hours a week, you think? 30?
Yeah.
Is
probably.
it a jobby at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Seth and I have been working pretty hard. We're doing some other stuff behind the scenes because we've been, I don't know, it kind of feels like not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but it does feel like we kind of have something.
Oh no, you do. I'm telling you right now, like it's you're doing the right things, and if you guys are ramping up your work, that's the right move. Because
the idea behind the show was just we didn't want to be a podcast. We wanted to be a show. That was the idea. We wanted to be like a talk show. So we have skits. Eventually we're going to have guests on and stuff like that. And so we've slowly been moving more and more toward that goal.
Good.
So
you'll be there. I mean, I'm telling you, one of these days I'll be working for you guys. That's how
I don't know about
that's how my life pans out. But yeah, I hopefully that works out. So there we go. There's our questions. Now let's see what the fans had to say. We asked them, what new Star Wars in 2024 are you most excited for? We told them, hey, it could be shows, toys, games, etc. You let us know. Of course, only the hardcores replied to it because I think that those are the only people that see our content on Instagram these days. So, up first, our boy 2797 Studios. I'm most looking forward to The Acolyte. It will be fun to delve into that era and the darker side of things. Yes, we agree. You just heard both of us. Our other buddy, Johnny Osage Avenue. Happy New Year's, SWTS. Happy New Year's to you. We speak your name. Most excited for The Acolyte, and now news of The Mandalorian hitting the big screen, and of course, all the repaint Mando Black Series figs from the movie. LOL. Just kidding.
Oh, man. Didn't think about that.
Like I said, our audience is very heavy in the toy collector universe. I think that's why we don't quite get the traction, because we're mostly talking about Star Wars these days and not toys. But hey, we got a lot of toy talk today. They're going to be happy. Nova Toymation, I'm most excited for Acolyte. 3 for 3 so far. A series on what the Sith are up to in the High Republic era. Yes, please. Okay, so they're with us. And we got Calro_Debro here. I would be excited for Acolyte, but we haven't seen anything from it yet. Isn't that a reason to be more excited? The idea is exciting. I just hope we see some figures from Hasbro when the show starts, not 6 months to 2 years after like we see with other Disney Plus Star Wars shows. Kind of hard to be excited for figures 2 years. Easier if they were a really dynamic character, though. Okay. Remember, we read them as written, people. So I don't usually talk that way. And last but not least, Mando Pirate getting in where he fits in. I'm excited for The Acolyte and TV because it'll be the first time seeing the HR on screen because Mando loves human resources. And he finishes saying, I'm also excited for Star Wars Outlaws. All right. So like I said, my friends, if you want to get involved on the show as a fan, look for the question of the week posted to @StarWarsTime.show on Instagram. And now our last segment to bring things home, to get Konnor off to his dinner, we've got the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. Let me do a quick little full screen flippy do. Okay, of course, the browser didn't come with us, but that's all right. We can find it. So the way this works, my friends, we do it every week. Throughout the week, you'll see my happy ass throwing up feature reels on Instagram @StarWarsTime.show of people that have used our hashtag StarWarsTimeShow and have tagged @StarWarsTime.show on Instagram. Then on Mondays, usually young Nick will sit there with his hot toddy and a stogie, and he will go through the tagged only. So add tag Star Wars Time Show. He will look at all those and he will choose his top 5. This week, I was hoping to have Konnor do it, but because it is kind of a pain in the ass and he doesn't have access to our account and couldn't just see the tagged photos, I decided to do it myself. All right, buddy. So here we go. These are the top 5 for 1/1/24 to 1/8/24. And no, I did not grease you by putting your shot in, although it could have made the top 5 this week. All right. So, up first, and I'll be interested to see how you go through this, because every time I do this with one 6-shooter, he starts critiquing the work. So we'll see how you take it. All right, up first, we got a good-looking shot from a definitely someone that's graced the top 5 in the past, and that is none other than Star Wars _Rick. And what we see here, Konnor, because Nick's not here to do this segment, so I'm pulling triple duty. But we got Vader in a Star Wars hallway with a rebel soldier up in a chokehold, and another one that has been relieved of his head via Darth Vader's lightsaber. I'm always a fan of violent Star Wars toy photography. So when we're losing heads, that kind of catches my attention. But Vader's my dude. Watching him do his thing with some rebels will never get old. Yeah,
man. Love it. I always love Star Wars Rick is great. And I love practical sets. The lighting is great. Dude, Vader's helmet is such a bear to light. He nails it. Effects are great. Awesome.
The only thing I'll say here, and this is gonna sound really stupid to a lot of you, but when you're doing toy photography on Vader's chest panel, the big blue and red lights don't light up.
Right, I know. I made that mistake for a while.
The 3 little ones do. They like rotate in order, but the big ones surprisingly never lit up. They never did when they were green and red either. But a lot of times we like to fill those in the post. But there is at Star Wars _Rick for you. Give him a follow on Instagram. Up next, I was glad to see this. Tiny Epic Photos is one of my favorites. They've been around since the dawn of toy photography. The shots always look amazing. And what we're looking at here, Konnor, we got a shot of Galen Merrick, a.k.a. Star Killer, a.k.a. Sam Witwer in Star Wars. It's just a great little, it's kind of a portrait shot, but you got this dynamic background that looks like he's raising up boulders. He's holding his blade like he does, kind of like Ahsoka, that reverse grip. And it also shows that this is a top-notch Black Series figure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tiny Epic Photos is one of those photographers that, like, every photo he does has this, like, crispy quality to it. I don't know what other adjective to use other than everything is just so crisp, and the lighting is on point. There's a glow to most of his photos. And all those rocks are practical, by the way. I thought that was crazy. I thought that those were added in post when I first saw the picture.
Yeah, there we go. I scrolled through. Yep, this is all practical outside of the blue. But I like it. The lighting, really. Well,
I like that you have those blue hues all over this photo, but then the face has a neutral light to it. That can be really hard when you're doing effect lighting like this, because when you're dealing with figures that are this big, when you're with lights, sometimes it can just get really washed out, but he manages to crush it.
One thing I ran into when I was doing this, especially in post, it seems when you shoot in RAW, and let's say you're using a blue light like this, a lot of times when I'd bring it over to edit, the blue light would almost become purple.
Yeah, it gets more magenta.
You know what I mean? Then you have to get in there and start color grading the living hell out of stuff to get back to where you wanted to be. But we all love at Tiny Epic Photos, all one word on Instagram. Definitely a great account to follow. Up next, this is one of those kind of Star Wars humor shots that I'm a huge fan of. Here we got, this is coming from Faux Toy Grapho and Shaggy Toys on Instagram. Caption here, okay, losers, it's my turn. And what we're looking at, we've got a Pac-Man arcade cabinet in a Death Star hallway with 3 bucket heads playing, and one has necks. He's got a little quarter up there. I'm at least pretending. At least those of you are old enough that used to game in the arcade, you know what I'm talking about. But Konnor, I always like when people take Star Wars, which is, it is a fairly serious franchise if you think about it, and kind of puts these characters, especially Empire characters, in silly situations. And that's what we get here with this shot from Faux Toy Grapho as they are competing on Pac-Man on the Death Star.
A shot like this always makes me so frustrated that I didn't think of it first.
Yeah.
Because it's so good. Like, it's just and it's so simple. Like, it's just such a good idea. Merging those two ideas, like Star Wars and retro gaming, 2 of my biggest loves. you know. And it's, I mean, relatively simple setup. You got a couple Death Star walls, you got an acrylic panel on top with some nice lighting hitting from both sides, and then a little bit of light hitting from the arcade. But the troopers are posed so well. I like the one guy cocking his head.
Yeah, looking at this. Yeah, checking the score. I like the bum with the drink. You know, trying to get a
right.
peek in there. And these are the good Black Series bucket heads. I think they came out a couple years ago. Where the helmets actually look like helmets and they're nice and shiny. So great looking work here from Faux Toy Grapho.
Terrific.
Moving right along, our next one here, another fun shot. I picked 2 fun shots this week. This is coming from Nilla Gorilla _14. And it looks like we have Sabine Wren about ready to slam a jamma on a court that seems to be on Tatooine. So I don't know. It just kind of stood out. Like I said, I like seeing Star Wars characters do non-Star Wars things, and playing hoops is definitely one of those.
This is a genre of toy photography that I'll admit I've never understood. Like
Plastic Action has become famous from it.
I know. It's like there's so many of
he's been hired by ESPN.
I know. I think it's just a me thing. I think it's because I'm not a big sports guy, but it's a great shot. Don't get me wrong. I think they've done Nilla Gorilla here. She's done a great job with the digi, and the pose is great. But it's like this is it's an entire subgenre of toy photography.
You are right, though. I mean, they're pretty much any franchise that shouldn't be playing basketball, if they have action figures, they're playing basketball in the toy photography community. It's something a lot of us can't shy away from. So
it's so interesting.
But I dig it. Oh, hey, we got an update here. Ricardo, Star Wars Rick was in there. He's saying the big lights don't light up. My bad. Hey, like we said, we weren't picking on you. We were bringing it up as fellow Star Wars fans that if you want to be as real and true to screen as possible, those lights do not light up. But we love your work, buddy. You know that.
Say your shot was so good, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, we feature you weekly, so appreciate you. Thanks for joining the show. All right, moving on from Nilla Gorilla _13. I just saw this one yesterday. Konnor, I don't know if you saw it pop up. This one is coming from @Burkhead Toys. It's all practical. What we're looking at here is the Black Series Vader helmet. And then in one of the eyes, through a reflection, he's essentially giving us what Vader was seeing on the Death Star when his old master showed up. So I always love fully practical shots using reflections, other camera tricks to get it done. And I don't know, I appreciate the effort and the concept.
Yeah, this shot's incredible. It reminds me of that. I think Burkhead Toys actually shared it. Was it Work More or Less who did that shot with Boba Fett's helmet? And you see Grogu in the reflection. Yeah. A very similar idea. The fact that they did this practically is insane to me, because I tried this one time and I ended up having to fake it. And it by superimposing a reflection. It's really hard.
Yeah. They pulled it off. And again, because I'm a weirdo and I've seen the movie so many times, I do believe the first time he sees him, Kenobi has his hood up.
Yeah. Oh, look at it. This is an artist interpretation, Matt.
I know. I'm just listen. I am not critiquing anyone because I don't even do this much anymore, and I was not as talented as either Burkhead or Ricardo. Ricardo, seriously, it's just that's all it was, is a heads up. Your work kicks ass. We love it.
We're just nerds about this.
Right? Yeah,
stuff,
it's weird.
I did the same thing, man. Until like relatively recently, I would do the same thing until I was actually looking up a reference photo of Vader, and I was like, wait a minute, did these not light up?
Well, they do. I mean, the hot toys, like they'll turn it on, but it's not correct. So
yeah, it's that top one will light up a little.
All right, so that's Burkhead, and that takes us to the end of the top 5. And as Nick always likes to say, that takes us to the end of the show. So Konnor, why don't you take us home? No, I'm just kidding. I'll close us out here. In all seriousness, though, I really appreciate you. I feel like I abused you a little bit, going 3 hours 11 minutes. Although that usually means we were having fun and the discussions just went where it went. And sometimes that happens on the Star Wars Time Show. We have been known to do 4-hour plus shows in the past. I'm not a huge fan of doing 3+ because I don't think people have the attrition for it. But I do thank you for for holding in. Hopefully you didn't wet yourself, shit yourself, or starve yourself as you gave me your time. So I do appreciate that.
I'm very wordy. You're very wordy. It was bound to happen.
Yeah, it all worked out. But it was awesome. It went just as I expected. You're a beautiful person, a great Star Wars fan and scholar. And obviously, we'll be watching your career with great interest over on @BeyondTheDuneC. So before I close us out, don't forget, you can follow Konnor and Seth over @BeyondTheDuneC on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and TikTok, right? Those are your main platforms.
Yep, that's it.
And if you know me, and the fact that I'm promoting them, you know it's legit, because I don't promote any other Star Wars fan creator, even if they're as big as that goofball Star Wars theory. These guys deserve the eyes from fellow SWTS fans. So @BeyondTheDuneC, don't forget about them. Just don't put them above @StarWarsTime.show. That's right. You can find us at StarWarsTime.net on the internet, in between shows. Check out the content, find the links, do the socials, subscribe to the podcast. If you do, make sure to leave a rating and review. Or if you prefer to live stream, don't forget to sub on YouTube, turn on notifications, leave those comments, drop those thumbs as the only things that tell the internet that humans actually like what we do here. So we appreciate that stuff. Those of you doing the super chats and donations, you don't have to, but it's much appreciated, and we love you for it. And we'll speak your names into eternity. But as we like to say, there's always time for Star Wars time, so don't you forget it. And you should also make some time for Beyond the Dune Sea. But just remember, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.